Shonda Fontenelle, present.
Emily Cunningham, present.
Neil Shed.
And any public comment? Oh yeah, it's not touchscreen. All right, hang on. It's okay. It's just not touchscreen and I went to move it.
Okay, got it.
All right, let's go to celebrations and recognitions. So we, Miss Menifee had a death in her immediate family. And so she's not here tonight. So we're going to push those to next meeting so that she can finish the document and be here to celebrate with us as well. So we're skipping that one. We have a host of consent agenda items. Most of those were, well, actually all of them are provided in the folder. If anybody had any questions about any, I'm happy to discuss them. We can pull them off consent agenda. But just about everything is in there and has explanations, but I'm happy to pull any off and discuss them further.
Any questions about the consent agenda items or motions to vote?
Moving to vote on the expenditure request would be accepting the suggested.
Specifically, are you talking about the safety one that has a lot of things in it?
Yeah, but also there were like multiple bids on the other ones.
Yes,
But-
so it would be the suggested bid
So
for those. Hey, Rita. Did you move? Is that what I heard? You moved or not yet?
I was gonna give just another second
Oh, okay.
in case anybody else had anything they wanted to pull.
Yeah.
We accept the consent agenda. Second.
Okay, all those in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Consent agenda items pass.
So I'll start with the faculty report just briefly, just to give you guys an update. And then I'll let Henry take the parent side of it. So I sent an email out. You guys may have even seen it on some of the broadcast messages that our faculty representative left Rapoport Academy. So she has left the classroom. She's actually left education right now at this point, just to really take care of herself and her family. So I have put out an all call for a new faculty representative. I've had somebody take me up on the offer already, which is really exciting, but I did give it open until Friday. So I'd like to give it the full time for other people to consider and think about it. But I think we're going to be able to fill very quickly by next month's meeting for sure with the a new faculty rep. I know it will be really hard shoes to fill. Alex is really great and amazing, still is really great and amazing. I'm just unable to serve as a faculty representative. So by next meeting, hopefully we'll follow the board policy for selecting someone, and we'll have a new faculty rep in place. I will connect them in. I've already messaged back and forth with Chris Nason, our previous faculty rep. And so I've already let him know that when that person is selected, I'll connect him in with them so that we can have some continuity specifically on those teacher retention report things, so he can talk with them directly about that.
okay, parent representative. Okay. Okay, we'll move on to board committee reports. Start with the finance committee.
I have another agenda item specifically for that one because I wanted to just briefly talk about the handout that you have. So if finance wanted to do anything other than the paperwork that I gave in front of you, you could update them.
No, I don't think so.
Okay.
I'll just say that we got the report back from our investment, our endowment, and it's just performing really well. So, just saying that.
Really well. Yeah.
I think one thing, sorry, to add maybe for our next finance committee meeting would be to discuss that.
Yeah.
And discuss.
So,
options.
we, and I'll talk about it a little bit here on the financial advisor question here in a minute. But we really need to update our investment policy. And so that'll be one of the things I bring to the next committee. So I think it'll align with what you're talking about
Yes.
to really get critical about what we're doing.
Yeah,
So,
got it.
Okay.
Like it.
Great. Okay, district improvement committee.
We met, was it last week? The week before? Yeah. Got a report from Dr. Ellis, talked a lot about the professional development they're doing, and kind of the ways that they track who gets what professional development and when, and to ensure that teachers feel that they're being supported in their professional growth. I know that's something they're continuing to work on, and it was good to hear some of the details about how that works. Then we also talked a little bit about the action plans that have been presented to the board last month. And I think, we're in a good place with those. You'll notice if you looked at them, a lot of them have sort of formative check-ins at October, right? And so we hopefully next month we'll get a sense of, that'll be kind of a time where we can see that data, whether things are moving in the right direction, at least in the first few months of the school year. So, is there anything else, Henry, that I'm forgetting?
No. One of the things that I did add, and got positive feedback from both committee members that were there, is in our agenda, which again, you guys can go look at each other's agendas. They're in the committee folder, but part of one of the things that Dr. Shanks had said is improvement is not just about like one thing. It's also the strategic plan. It's also the things we're talking about. And so in the agenda now, we've got the specific student outcome goals that they're working towards. And then we've got the 6 initiatives that we already have. And so each meeting, the first one we did was P2C. So each subsequent meeting, the committee will receive updates from an initiative lead. So that way the district improvement committee is the one really receiving those deep conversations from the initiative leads as we move forward. And so we'll kind of rotate those throughout the year. And then on the quarters, when we have data checkpoints or formative reviews, then we'll pull that information in and bring it in to the district committee as well, the improvement committee. And so that'll be a great place for the board. Some of them will come to the board as a whole, but a lot of it will come from the improvement committee to say, hey, we met with the initiative lead on this, and this is what they're doing. Or we saw this data and this is what we saw. So that way it's coming from board members. But the depth of the conversation will probably happen at those committee meetings, and then summaries will come from that one. So we kind of tested it out for the first time, and I think it was positively received. Tyler did a great job.
Great. That's supposed to be E2C. I think next month is Ms. Whitlark with. That's neat. Yeah. So
Engagement next month. And then hopefully the next one will be the Strong Foundations implementation. So we'll talk about curriculum, and elementary. Lauren Teague is leading that one. And then by spring, we should be able to move forward on some of the other ones.
Excellent. Okay. Mr. Guesa. Facilities committee.
So we met with almost a month ago.
It was that weird, like we had to adjust. Yeah.
So, you'll chime in with this. We talked about the dedication class and the voting on that in order to bring it to the board for you guys to review. We also discussed banner unveiling, those issues as well as the history wall. And make some suggestions on the wording for those walls language. And we discussed there was a little concern about the image working, but we discussed that as well. You're not.
The reimbursement from the city.
I have signed the paperwork. So we haven't received it yet, but I did sign the paperwork. So hopefully it's coming soon. I haven't seen the check yet.
Okay.
When I get the check, everybody will know. You will probably hear it in the streets. Like I'll stand on the streets and be hollering and yelling, but yes,
We had him on the phone, like an hour and a half or 2.
it was amazing. It was amazing. He tried to sign off on the phone call several times and she was like, so what I'm hearing is, and at the end of it, she was like, don't let him go. Don't let him go until he says yes. And I was like, it was masterful.
Well, it was something that was more like, if he kept let in with, but we can do this, this, and this, if you can show us that, it could have saved so much more time on the back end.
Yeah. And the really great thing is there's new structures. And so it didn't even have to go through city council.
Yeah.
So we were able to avoid a lot of the political side of things. And we're essentially what they're doing is reimbursing us for direct expenses. So policies and permits fees, and then the actual infrastructure upgrades that we did to the stormwater system. And so it's pretty straight. Like, here's what we spent. Here's Mazonic's receipts for that. And here's the submission for that. And so they were able to say, oh, that makes sense. But don't let them go until they say yes. So I'll let you know, but it's right at $50,000. So mm-mm,
Something else came back.
mhm,
Okay.
right at 50.
It's
Yep.
still something.
Yep.
It's 50 more than zero.
Yeah.
Thank you. Superintendent report.
So just a couple of things going on around the district. Again, if you guys want to pop in anytime, please pop in. You can shoot me a text and say I'm headed over. You can contact one of the campus administrators and say I'm on my way. You can pop into the front desk, check in. You can walk around. We'd love to be able to walk around with you because sometimes it helps having someone explain what you're seeing and what you're looking at walking through. But we would love for you to be engaged in things. We would love for you to come to home games. Basketball games are coming up. Volleyball games are wrapping up. We've got really exciting things going on with that. You have a badge now. And so your badge will get you in our games. It doesn't get you in away games. You still have to buy tickets for those. But if you want to come in, you can say I'm a board member. You can pop in, come in for the first 30 minutes, come in and stay for the whole thing. If you have not been to one of our games in the gym, you have got to come. It is the coolest, like fan riddled, beautiful. You might need earplugs, maybe. Just saying, wait till basketball hits. It's really cool to see the level of community that has come in from that. So again, I just want to extend an open invitation. If you want to walk through classes, let us know. We'd love to walk through there with you. I'd love to show you the really cool things going on across the district. Come to the games and do that. We have all sorts of things going on. Crazily enough, we're only 2 months away from starting to plan for next fiscal year. So we're already starting the planning like at my side, and then we'll be talking about that, rolling it out, and then starting in January, we'll be looking outwardly with our teams, with direct expenses and that sort of stuff and planning for next year. And so school is moving really quick. We've had a few staffing changes, but Jennifer was already able, we had 2 teachers and a TA leave. She's already been able to hire those 2 teachers replacements in for them. And she's really excited about the staff that she's bringing in for those 2 spots. And so we're hoping that that'll be as smooth as possible of a transition. We still have a teaching assistant spot open. And so we're still looking for a candidate for that one. We made an offer, but I don't think that offer is going to be accepted. And so anyway, one of the things that we're also I'm looking at right now is what things are working and what things maybe haven't worked from the retention strategies that we've been putting in place the last couple of years. So for instance, the 2 departures that we've had right now, one of them had all of the money and training things that could have possibly been offered, like literally everything you could have gotten. But it wasn't enough because there were other X factors going on. Another one didn't have any of those things and left for more money. And so that's some of the things we've talked about is what does an in-between look like? Because sometimes there's X factors that we just can't control. And then sometimes it is straight salary. And so trying to navigate through some of that. And so I think those will be things that I'll continue to talk with the district cabinet about and the leadership teams about as we start planning for next year. And what does that look like? So a lot of really cool things. Like I said, stop in the classrooms, come to the games, like be a part of our community, stay up on our social media. If you're not on our social media, shame on you, right? Get on that social media and look at all the stuff that SJ does. She does a phenomenal job keeping up with it and keeping information out there. So just jump on board and be a part of that. And if you have any questions, if you ever want to know things or want details or anything else, you want to schedule an independent meeting, just time to sit and talk, I'm happy to do that. I would love for you guys to be involved and engaged. I think you already are way more than our boards have been even historically. But I just want you to know, like, we would love to have you just come in and see like the really cool, beautiful things that are happening in our classrooms. We're used as a site visit place. So we've done tours over at Triple Win. We've done tours at our elementary campus. We've done virtual tours. We've done presentations. We've been used as kind of best practices for some of the things that we're doing. And so while I know our accountability score on a single state assessment, I think you worded it beautifully when you said it the other day. I know that is not where we want it to be yet. I will tell you that people are recognizing the work that we're doing across the district. And it's really exciting to see. So, thank you.
Okay, moving on to item 4.1, annual ESL program evaluation.
Yes. So I'm showing you up here in our drive this evening, 4:44, I added in a document that says ESL update link. It is a great video that Stephanie Schachtschneider has put together. So she is our coordinator for ESL services across the district. I'm going to provide that in the minutes and in the board summary if people want to watch that. It is up to you guys whether we watch that now or whether you watch that and then stop and ask questions afterwards. Considering the board training that we have, I wasn't going to take the extra time necessarily unless you guys want me to play it and watch it. It will be available to everyone online and also in the board summary. Would you like to go ahead and play that? Or would you like to watch it on your own time and then provide feedback or questions if you have? Nope, no decision, vote, or action. It's just for information only. It provides you information about our ESL program, about our quantities, numbers, and performance of the students that are underneath the ESL program. So it's information only, no action needed.
Yeah.
Okay, good.
Yeah.
It's really informative. She did a great job with the video and putting the information together. So I definitely think you would have value from watching it. And you can access it again anytime it's on that shared drive.
Thank you.
The campus and district improvement plans is the next one. Those were provided to you. Tyler and Jennifer are here, so they can answer any specific questions you have about that. It is an action item. They have worked with their teams of leaders, teachers, instructional coaches, gotten feedback. They've looked at their data and they've created those plans that you have shared in front of you. And what we would ask is if you have any questions, edits, or updates, share those and we can talk about those. If not, we would need formal action to receive and file or to approve.
Questions or a motion to approve?
I make a motion to approve the
Campus and district improvement plan.
campus and district improvement updates.
Thank you.
Second? Rashonda? All those in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Motion passes. Thank you for your work on that, administrators. Appreciate that. Okay, let's talk financial forecasting.
Okay, so I handed out to you guys in a couple of pages of documents. At the request of the Finance Audit Committee, when I do my board summary, these documents will be shared in the board summary as well. So I'll send those out to everybody so that we make sure that they have information in front of them. So there's a couple of things that I want to call your attention to. 3 different pages. The first page at the very top, it says approved budget. So this is ideally, if I release this, if you approve it, this would be the approved budget. Not currently approved because there's some adjustments that have had to happen to it. And I'm going to explain those briefly real quick. This could be a really long conversation. I'm happy to meet with you and go over in the weeds, but I've already met with the audit committee. They've gone all through this document and the sub details behind it. So this is the 25-26 budget, but I'm actually going to bump you to this one that looks complicated. So this complicated one, this next to the last column is all the information in this one. So they're the same. The one I just showed you, it's the same. I just created a single budget that could be posted independently. This other one is historical. So you can see over time how we have shifted and moved with funding with COVID money. So you can see a jump in revenue. You can see how it's moved over time all the way to where this yellow column right here, well, it's not yellow anymore. This kind of grayish column at the top. So at the end of every year, if you've been with us long enough, you know we do an amended budget at the end of the year. It's after all expenses are taken care of and all the stuff is planned and all of that. This is where we ended up at the end of 25. I'll call your attention to the very bottom line, the very bottom cell. So the very bottom cell has us negative $800,000. That is accurate. We knew that going into that, we were going to use some savings. We were going to do the finish up, the owner supplied items of the gym. We knew that our utilities had gone up. We knew we were expecting more money this year. I will be honest, I didn't expect it quite that much. I expected negative, but not quite that much. Now, that being said, we've done some analysis over the last few days. We've talked to our bank. We've talked to potential financial advising partner. The last column, if you notice, we have already made edits, strides. We've budgeted in the bond covenants that we need to have met. And right now we're looking to the good, 95,033. Now you'll notice there's a little note up here at the top and it says does not include full TRA, teacher retention allotment. Right now, what we only have allocated in that 11.1 million is what's actually in the Foundation Schools program report. We know we're going to have a little bit more money that comes in after we submit all of our fall data to the state for our teachers and their years of service. So we expect their salaries are already in here. We expect to have a little bit more revenue that comes in from that. But as you can see here, we used a lot of our savings, finishing up with the owner supplied items of the gym. We need to rebuild that sum. We don't have a lot of extra capacity to do anything with until we rebuild that and until we have a system that lets us spend well within our means, but also do some things for staff. So the last page that you have are the supplemental items. So these are all the things that board members or community members have said, hey, you need to consider this as ways to love on your staff, to retain teachers, to whatever else. So I tried to estimate how many people it would impact, what that percentage was, the increase, so the cost associated, and then what the total increased cost would be. So sitting where we sit financially, I cannot tell you that I can recommend any of these yet. Not forever, no, but it looks like we're solid to begin this fiscal year. That's what's the budget in front of you. The new revenues coming in, we're covering the differences. We're meeting our bond covenants at that point. We're putting a little bit of money back in savings. Now, Tyler, Jennifer, and my superintendent cabinet, we're already identifying other places where we can have cost savings because we want to be able to do some of these things. So we've already got people who are like, hey, this is a software I only use periodically. I think I could cut this out. Hey, this is a conference that I used to go to. I haven't missed it since I haven't done it for the last year. I don't need to go to that. Right. Like, so we already have all sorts of cost saving things that are coming up. So those are the three documents with forecasting. Again, the 25-26 budget is the same as this final column in this document. And then you can see where we are year over year over year. I will tell you, and the audit committee can jump in. We've done a deep dive of all the numbers, where we are, how we got where we were, what it looks like moving forward. And this is what they've asked for me to show you guys tonight and present to you.
This is a vote item, yes.
Yes.
Unless there's questions.
Yes, so the vote item would be just for the approved budget. The other is for your information. So we need to have an updated approved budget because the old budget didn't have the October food service, Foundation Schools program revenue. So the last one we had was really in the spring. So we need to update this to include the new revenue, the teacher retention allotment expenses, all of that. And again, you can see it budgets for our bond service. All of these expenses are in there and we're still to the good, not a lot, but still to the good a little bit.
It's that second to last number, that 111,600 that we're required to have on hand, and we're at 95. So that's the real aha moment that we have no wiggle room right now to spend anything.
Well, I trust the audit committee and your financial advisors. I looked over the numbers. I mean, they make sense to me. I'm not financial guru, but something that needs to be.
One of the things I do want to add, so even since the audit committee and I met, I've been digging through to figure out, like, again, I knew we were going to be around 600 to 700 upside down because of the owner supplied items. And so I've been checking into like where did it shift or adjust or whatever. And one of the things I realized is the timeliness of updating our systems, our computer systems, it wasn't really timely. So having it go 2 months before finances were updated allowed 6 weeks where we spent and it wasn't updated and it wasn't reconciled yet. And so I'm working with Region 12, who's the partner that we've approved for a while, to speed up what those updates look like and the standard expectation for those, so that I know I'm working with the latest up-to-date information on the financial side of things. And I think we're going to be able to move that pretty quickly. So that one is just the updated audit would be the only action item, the 25-26 audit, if you so chose.
We anticipate the difference between the full teacher retention allotment and what we have right now.
About 300,000. So right now, the teacher retention allotment that's in there is about 108,000. And based on what we calculate by years of service and eligible teachers, it should be about 416,000. So that 300,000 would potentially be credited in January based on what based on what the rumors are, that's when we could kind of expect it. They were pretty accurate with when the teacher incentive allotment money would come back and when our October money would come. They said the first week or so of October, it came October 10th. So I would expect it in January.
But it's a flow through item.
It flows straight through. But yeah, the difference is though, those expenses are already in the salaries. They're already included. So we're already eating the expenses. We haven't actualized the revenue. So the bottom line will adjust. But what I caution the board in is making sure that we are rebuilding a little bit. We don't need $10 million in a rainy day fund, but rebuilding that so that we meet the bond covenant requirements from the bank. So that we meet what the board would like. The board has always liked to see at least 90 days cash on hand. We're currently at 33. So I would caution the board to say, yes, we want to do things, but we also want to make sure that we're stable because we're no longer in a growth. I know you guys have heard me talk about that. We're no longer in a growth pattern. We're in a stable pattern. And so we've got to kind of shift the way that we think about budgeting a little bit for that.
What is the state?
So there's different requirements for different ratings on Charter First. So because we're considered a growth school, essentially in the last 3 to 5 years, have you grown more than 7%? Which yes, we've grown more than 7% in the last 3 to 5 years, 5 years. So we're considered a growth. And so they recognize that it's harder to grow and still keep cash because you have to expand and do other things for that. So we might see a little bit of a dip in our Charter First rating and days cash on hand. But most places, most boards and banks have a 40 to 45 day desire. We've always kept 90. I'd rather be up closer to 90, at least at 60. But 33 is where we are currently. So our bank wants 60 and we want what our bank wants. So we would like to get that back up as quickly as possible.
Okay, so I'll entertain a motion or any other questions.
I move to approve the budget. Second.
All those in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Budget passes. And now updates on the chief financial
Yeah.
officer.
So I'm just going to give you an update. The proposal will be to me by Monday for a company. So because we have dropped less than the 60-day bank required days cash on hand, the bank is coming back with us and saying, hey, we think, these are pretty much their exact words, hey, we think this transition between a CFO and not a CFO and then a contracted in CFO has left you guys a little wobbly and getting stuff done on time and drawdowns done on time and that sort of stuff. And so part of what they're saying is we know your budget is already set for next year and it looks good. But we think you should bring in a financial advisor just to help make sure investment policy is on track, to help make sure that we're tracking budgets correctly and all of that. In the meantime, if you remember Paul Jason that helped us actually get the funding, you remember the consultant that came in and helped us get that? So I talked to him and he said, hey, I have a company that all they do is Texas Charter School financing. They do CFO work, they find CFOs, they act as business offices for charter schools. And that's one of the things Region 12 has been absolutely amazing, but they're not charter specific. They're school specific and a lot of it overlaps, but not all of it. And so the bank has suggested the same company. Paul Jason suggested the same company independent of each other. And so I've had a couple of calls with them. And so they're putting together, I gave them a bunch of information, answered a bunch of questions. They're putting together a proposal to come back. So they're going to do it in really 2 different ways so that our audit committee can consider that and then make a recommendation to the board. So they're going to do one way where they plan on being our long-term CFO and their structure is really kind of cool. They join my superintendent cabinet meetings every 2 weeks. We have calls every week. They meet with the bookkeeper every week. Like they run marketing analysis, they run forecasting, they run benchmarking against other schools. And they also do a lot of the processes with that. Or they're going to run like they're kind of a fill-in while we find somebody or while we help somebody. I will tell you, it's been posted and I have not had anybody that I felt like could jump in and help manage that. And so they're going to give me the proposal. I'll review it, ask questions, and then I'll take it to the finance audit committee. And then they'll review it and look at it and then bring it to the board. But there's a potential that they could be either or, like a partnered in CFO or still bridging the gap. I will tell you, bridging the gap again makes me a little nervous Just because I end up with like, who's doing what and where does that look and who's tracking what. I really like the forecasting benchmarking, like critical eye that they might offer. And so I'll get that and I'll get it back to the committee. So there's no action needed on that tonight. It's just an update for you guys. It will likely be that our bank says, well, you have to have somebody. It doesn't have to be this company, but you have to have somebody. But this so far is the only company I've found that has a team of people. That's not just one person, that has a team of people that will come in and bridge the gap and really like lock in for a
The
safer world.
idea of, one, you're not having to focus on a salaried person and retaining them and paying benefits,
Mhm.
that you have an outside team to lean on and it's not just one person.
Mhm.
So I like the idea of the partnership.
Yep.
And less annually.
Theoretically, I haven't gotten the proposal yet. I don't know. I don't know. So that's just an update for you guys.
All right, time is 5:36. We'll move into closed session.
And so we go ahead and get rolling on the board training portion of it. Awesome.
All right, good evening, guys. We are back again for another month of steering committee planning for your long range plan. So we are going to pick back up where we left last month in identifying initiatives for the remaining levers we're filling out for that plan using the effective. Tonight we're focusing on lever 6, which is finance and operations. The objectives for today are to celebrate the progress of fall, particularly building off of last month. We'll take a look back at the decisions that we made with level 1, planning and information management. We want to also highlight the artifacts that Alice and I have collected for level 6 since the last time we met. Kind of talk you through what that looked like, what those are, what we gleaned from that artifact collection process. We're going to address the leadership guiding questions. We have 3 of those that we will identify tonight, and we will follow that same process and procedure as we did last month of thinking through strengths and weaknesses and the evidence share with you tonight, and collectively as a group for the end of the night, try to resonate around 1 or 2 initiatives that would fall under the umbrella of finance and operations letter. And then now we'll wrap this up. So as we continue to build out our strategy on the page for our long range plan, we always bring it back ground into our vision and mission and student experience statements that we built in this journey 2 years ago through the Texas strategic leadership process. The board adopted student outcomes, and Dr. Newman was referencing that at different points tonight, doing some of the committee feedback she was talking about. Last month, we really focused in on level 1, which was planning and performance management, like you mentioned. Before we broke the night, the work that we collectively decided on was we wanted to build an initiative around developing and utilizing a structured calendar for initiative progress and analysis. And that was a theme that kept coming from our conversation that night. Since then, I know Dr. Newman has even shared with me some forethought that she's had on this topic already. And one of the examples that she shared was a board planning calendar that she uses every year to make sure those 30 items go back up for planning and reporting to you guys as the board. And that'll be a great component to build off of as we move throughout the full creation of this plan, start building in those tasks as we bring it all together as well for future work.
And Mark, I will say like, that's also the kind of push that we use for the district improvement committee, right? Is the logical place to talk about improvement with the board is the improvement committee first. And then they'll bring that report to the board as we move forward on the different initiatives, whether it's the 6 existing ones or whether it's the new ones that we put in place as we move forward. And so that'll create a cadence for the board, a cadence for the committee. And then we also have specific topic updates in our superintendent cabinet meeting that we do as well. And so I already had some little things in that one, but now that that's one of those specific initiative pieces, we'll be able to take that and really press it into board action and updates as we move forward.
I think that's a great
Yep.
building framework that you already kind of have in place for that. So tonight, we're going to build off of that process of planning together as a steering committee and creating, or maybe rephrase, identifying what initiative we want to focus on, doing the lever of finance and operations this month. And we'll finish out next month with integrated student support systems to kind of talk about that cultural safety and behavior piece within the district as well. So let's talk about what Allison and I have kind of worked through the last month in preparing for tonight. We did an artifact analysis with particular items we collected from the district for this particular area of focus, including thorough review of the campus master schedule, both elementary and secondary, looking at the district-wide academic planning calendar for the year. Also kind of thorough research to what's publicly facing on the district web page and what's there offered as resources. And then if we're being honest, really the meat and potatoes of this artifact analysis for this particular resonates around focus group feedback. We use a questionnaire of feedback from Dr. Newman. Also, Jeffrey Orozco, which works for us at Region 12 and is the accountant that works with Rapoport, oversight on some of their school business services. We also work with your Director of Facilities and Safety, Director of Food Services, and Director of Technology as well. Get some inside feedback around the Lever 6 essential actions and key practices that we're going to go over tonight. Asking particular questions that the hardest feedback in those areas of their expertise as well and oversight. With that, we are going to jump into the first of the three guiding questions for deliberation tonight. Can somebody read this question for us, just like we did last month? Volunteer.
Sure. How effectively are our district's time, financial, technology, and physical facility resources strategically allocated and optimized to directly maximize student learning experiences and outcomes and align with our overall educational vision?
All right. All things that we've been working on through this process. So just kind of oral response here. What are some of the big things that jump out at you? What key terms?
Maximize student learning experiences.
Yes. So how are we using those things? Finance, technology, and our facility resources to maximize student learning experiences. If you think back to that strategy on the page, right under our vision and mission and vision student experience statement, we as a collective board identified student outcome goals, the outcomes that we want for our students and those experiences that we want them to achieve. How are we strategically allocating resources to maximize those experiences? Okay. How are we aligning items A to items B, those outcomes for those students? So that's the question that we're trying to answer here. First, analysis of evidence. Now, after reviewing all the various evidence that we've had and we just discussed, here were our three largest areas of takeaway. Yes, Dr.
In your very opening slide, did you go back over what the envisioned student experience was?
Yeah, let's do that.
Okay, I just think it's important when you hear them talking specifically about like facilities. Top right. So,
Then you want to go back and read it out loud? It's kind of small here.
yeah, I can. Or you
So
guys?
these were the student experience statements we developed 2 years ago as an in-district steering committee. In other words, what do we want every Raven every day to experience while they're either sitting in a class, on the court, or in Rapoport Academy school district somewhere? Every Raven every day will experience safe, consistent, and respectful learning environment where they are seen and heard. Every Raven every day will experience a challenging and engaging learning environment that fosters student ownership and critical thinking led by well-prepared, proactive, and effective teachers. And then also every Raven every day will experience a learning environment that will empower them to engage productively, learn from mistakes, develop grit and resilience, and contribute positively to their community. So, as Dr. Newman said, that's the carrot on the stick that we're trying to identify and how we are, particularly in this guiding question one, aligning our resources to those experiences.
If we have done this well, then that is what we will see. So now you've looked into whether we are actually doing it, okay, or not, right?
Correct. And so,
Am I still in your thunder, Middleton?
in analysis of the, along with, these were our three largest takeaways. And so I'll just give the disclaimer that anything that we talk about tonight, remember, neither positive nor negative. We're not auditors, right? We just audited artifacts, right? And it sounds like such a dirty, it's not a dirty word. We're trying to give you factual, unbiased feedback on what we've seen, look behind the curtain at Rapoport, if that makes sense. Don't take it as necessarily a positive or a negative. That's for maybe y'all to determine. That's to determine and see where we can still find areas for growth, right? So keep that in perspective as we talk about this. We talked about finance and budget tonight already. This is how we're talking about lever 6 tonight, finance and operations. So here are our three largest takeaways. The district calendar includes staff development and plan professional development, which is aligned to the strategic plan, very much so. It also mentions 3 days for parent-teacher conferences throughout the year that are specifically identified for that. And there's also evidence of enrichment at the elementary building. I think that's when we identified the wind time, particularly that they're looking at the campus schedule. Also, also, we noticed that in conversations with focus groups, there was an identification of aging devices with no really set or documented plan in place for replacement. District is looking at a plan to rotate some teacher computers to the secondary students and replacing other teacher devices. Elementary students have Chromebooks. The district has signed on or will be signing on for a lease to contract to be able to set up a cycle of replacement for those devices. And no specific findings that identify strategic allocation of financial resources or budgeting beyond accounting for the district's low socioeconomic needs. We know that as a whole is a focus for the district built into the charter. But we don't see anything specifically saying we had, let's say, for example, an area that's extreme weakness that we want to focus on in math. We don't see a particular allocation for math resources or a new math program or math curriculum for speed would be aligned to that. That's just an example. And then
I think
that the budget is annually rolled over pretty similar to each year.
And I think on that one, it's the call out, right? Like on that last bullet, it's the call out for specificity. So we have math curriculum, obviously,
Yes.
right? But there's not a call out to say,
Yeah, that's a good way to put it.
within our budget, here's an earmark that is math specific, or here's an earmark that is,
Because we
ESL
have
specific.
this area for need to help us reach our student experience.
it's just all mushed in it. Not a
Yeah,
color.
that's a good way to put it.
And then on the second bullet, so you guys have approved the Chromebook rollover. I think what Mr. Brownlee's looking at is teacher devices, upper level student devices, so like laptops. We don't have a rollover plan for that. He's got some ideas and suggestions, but what you guys signed previously was the Chromebook. That's the most devices we have. So we started there, but the aging devices is like,
And in the conversation with Mr. Brownlee, he's thought through it. He obviously is thinking about how do we replace, you know, in the secondary with the laptop, that sort of thing.
There's a plan.
There's just not a formal plan in place.
Yeah.
As a teacher, is there not like there's no schedule, a teacher just has their computer until they're like, this doesn't work anymore?
that's historically how it's been. Yes. So when we had COVID funding, so COVID funding allowed us to do a big refresh. And then Brownlee just took over this summer. And so the first thing is Chromebooks die fast. So we have to have a plan for the Chromebook restore, like how we're rolling that through and how we're doing that. And so we tackled that first. Then his next plan is laptops die quickly. Student laptops, high-end user student laptops, gamers and that sort of stuff, like they die faster. And then teachers, especially at more complicated curriculum, die faster. And so he's got some thoughts and plans that he's looking at putting in place and that will probably give us some cost saving measures like the Chromebook lease did. But on the laptop device side. So that's coming, but no,
And-
currently right now it dies, we buy another one.
And this is the added feedback on the next slide when we transition to think through, that if we didn't identify, but we have that extra feedback from the district perspective and from other members of the steering committee, we want y'all to bring that into the conversation tonight. Because as we were, prepping and getting ready to speak tonight, the realization is we're here just kind of presenting you what we're finding, and y'all are doing the work, right? Y'all are going to make the decisions and do the work. So in review, these are the biggest three things that we took from the last month of artifact analysis. Looking that there is some time built into the calendar, it looks at things are like strategically aligned with where you're planning on a day-to-day basis from the year. There is no real plan in place in writing on device replacement or recycling of those. And some other things in the budget, it's not necessarily pulled out or called out, like you said, for certain alignment to, other than looking at the socioeconomic needs of the district as a whole. So as we think about this, here's the first activity that we're going to challenge you to do in regard to guiding question number 1. Just like last month, based on the evidence that you have presented, that we presented to you in relation to the question over here, I guess to the left, not above. What stands out to you that Rapoport is either doing well or needs to strengthen? We're going to do a plus or minus on it. So have we passed out any stickies yet?
No, we didn't, we just called out.
We can call it out. So let's think about this in regards to how effectively our district's time, financial, technology, and physical facility resources strategically aligned to optimize and directly maximize student learning experiences and outcomes and align with our overall educational vision. So just think about that for a few seconds, and then we'll kind of just quarterly call out and also how to capture it. What are we doing well with that feedback that we shared? What might we need to continue to focus on?
Not limited to the evidence.
Oh, not limited to the evidence, in addition to the evidence, if you have it, yeah.
Mhm.
But particularly regarding this question, alignment of resources for student experiences and outcomes.
I don't know if I'm understanding the question, but something like the Chromebooks for the kids, like every kid's got a notebook. That seems like it's positively aligned with utilizing resources to maximize.
The one-on-one access is a positive.
Is that the kind of thing?
Yes.
Mhm.
Absolutely. So students having the devices what they need is a one-on-one. On a one-on-one ratio is a positive.
Yeah.
But having a proactive plan.
But having a proactive plan for replacement, refurbish,
But do we have
Pager.
that? But we do have that, right?
We have that for the student devices. Well, for the Chromebooks,
For the Chrome-
not for laptops or teachers.
But that would
It
be-
has been signed, right?
Mhm.
I couldn't remember if he had said it's. in the
Yes.
protocol.
It's in.
So that would be on the negative side, I guess. We need that.
Similar for laptops and teacher devices, right? Student laptops and teacher devices.
I actually wonder, like, I just assumed that we have like policies that you get a new computer every 3 years, or 5 years, or
Mhm.
whatever, like. And now, like, what other things am I assuming about the,
We use
Yeah.
them until they die. Like all the way until they cannot be repaired anymore. That is not best practices, nor what Brownlee would like to see in place. Because sometimes it ends up with a teacher not having a device for a couple of days, or they get a loaner that's clunky and we navigate that.
there a backup plan, is there a replacement plan, is there a recycle plan? And are those Chromebooks only at a certain grade level, and then at a certain grade level, do they switch to laptops?
Typically up through most of 8th grade.
Okay. so
Some
is there
kiddos in
a
8th grade,
secondary
uh-huh.
Switch.
what did they
So
do in
do
high
they-
school?
Sorry.
In high school, they have laptops.
Is there a replacement cycle for the kids in high school? Do they just get the new laptop for 4 years?
They have the same device until it needs to be replaced. Mhm. Currently. Again,
They do have the in summer, right?
they do. They turn it in the summer, it gets re-imaged, it gets fixed and treated and clicked up and whatever else in the summer. But
But they receive the same.
They don't get the same or?
it just depends on how distribution goes. They're not guaranteed the same device back. So typically what we try to do is newer devices go to upper level students that are going to be in dual credit and whatever else. And then the older, maybe clunkier device, maybe goes to a freshman who's trying to figure out how to use, or definitely for an eighth grader who's trying to figure out how to be good stewards of a device. But no, there's not a, but that is one that's up there, right? There's no schedule or plan for, and it's specifically, yeah, 8-12 laptop devices.
And 8 and 12 student device.
Do students have the option to like use their own device?
So not with the new legislation.
Oh,
Yeah, new legislation, you can't bring personal devices of any sort. And it's been wonderful.
I would say transportation, you know, you think our students are going to MCC, Triple Win, we have, it's a positive. I think it's remarkable what y'all pull off with some vans and, you know, whichever bus works and what drivers you have.
Question, I think the guiding question too, will be addressed.
Tyler gave me a huge win today. I was scheduled to drive part of a field trip and a luncheon thing on Friday. I was going to drive that one. And he said, our volleyball coach volunteered. So now our volleyball coach is going to drive the bus on Friday. And so I get to stay at the sheriff's meeting.
Yeah, that's a great conversation, so thanks about that. Although it may be a positive here that we provide that transportation. We're gonna look here in a minute, and think about how many people do we have that can drive.
If our superintendent is driving the bus, right?
Yeah. And thankfully it's gotten better, but
There was
I
a
mean,
time.
yeah, there's a time. So right now it's our volleyball coach, our athletic director. We have one bus driver and myself. And then we have one teacher, but he's teaching all the time. So he's eligible, but we'd have to find a substitute to go into his classroom for that one. So
It's me. I'm in now.
oh no.
Looking back at the question, effectively align both resources for students' learning experience and outcomes. Is there anything else we want to identify as something we're doing well? Or something that we say, this could be an area of improvement?
I got a call from Nason's report that teachers, and maybe I'm misremembering, but the teachers were dissatisfied with their like planning time, that they feel like all their time is taken up with organized things and they don't have just like a minute to sit and rest their thoughts and gather for the next, and that maybe that's a.
That was a drive.
Yeah. So I think that was definitely a springtime feedback. And I will say Tyler and Jennifer have been really intentional this year with teacher protected time as teacher protected time.
Were they happier?
Officially reporting.
I think we've made growth.
It's improved. What do you say?
Straddle the line, maybe.
It didn't go back.
It didn't go backwards.
Time is a tricky thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. Never.
But I would say previously we didn't claim any time to be teacher protected. Now they have some teacher protected time. Is it as much as they want? Probably not.
I mean, there may not be enough hours a day.
Yeah.
I will tell you that no district have ever questioned teachers in, have they told me that they have. Like, there's just not. Like, you would have to give them like 2 days a week, all day.
Well, but even,
I mean, fair, okay.
yeah.
You know, I mean.
Yeah.
There should be teacher protected time, don't get me wrong. But to just be very open and honest, we do a lot of surveys in districts, and that's typically one of the questions. And it's very rare that there's a positive response on, do you have enough time to do?
Or meetings that have to be called.
Yeah.
So that it's have to be in here.
But I will tell you, that was a shift for us as a district to say these days are teacher protected days, or this time is teacher protected time. And so I think that's a positive movement. Could we always do more? Sure. But even just where we were a few years ago, where there was none, to the new calendar that allows days, to Tyler and Jennifer's commitment that allows chunks of time as much as possible.
Well, I think about, like, I have the luxury of building my own schedule, right? And so I'll build in decompress time, like I need a minute after this meeting to kind of sit and have a minute, you know, but if they don't get to design that, then you know, you get burnout, you get dissatisfaction, and you get teachers leaving, and so.
I'll be honest, sometimes our teachers struggle just to be able to go to the bathroom because there's a class and there's changing and they're in the hallway and they're doing lunch duty and they're, you know, which I think is teaching sometimes, right? In a lot of ways, but.
Organization we want. Next section.
I wouldn't say it's perfect. I don't work here, but just from the shift in the calendar, even the start of the school year with the onboarding and the opening school training and the extra day each month that's dedicated just to PD, I think it's improvement.
Mhm.
But you can only do so much within a 9 to 10 hour window each day.
I was gonna take this second to reflect, share with what we've got Kathy here before we move on to guided question two.
So on the positive, I have all students have one-to-one access to technology. So that's all your students, I guess maybe second grade and kinder and or pre-K. So they do have access. So
Your classroom sets.
a contract has been initiated for a Chromebook lease schedule rollout for second grade through seventh grade Chromebook. Another positive is that y'all provide transportation to dual credit classes, you provide transportation to athletic events, you provide transportation to events for, their CTE classes. And then some teacher protected time has been implemented this year, which is a positive. The need for that is kind of a negative, but I put it on the wrong side, but it kind of, we can put it. A negative is no schedule or plan, no formal schedule or plan is created for teacher and 8th grade through 12th grade student devices for technology. But
I have two that I just want to make sure these are stamped on there. It's things that we've talked about previously support. So on the very last one, so the strategic allocation. So we do itemize requests, but I don't know that we call it out by targeted need. And so I would say a positive is we allocate. We've got math curriculums and we've got either curriculums and we've got teacher resources and we've got campus specific needs. So we allocate for it, positive, but I don't know that we pull out the bucket and name it that this is the money we're using for this problem. So that would be the negative side of the same coin. And then on the parent conferences, so I would say positive, we do those. It's actually 4 days a year, but we do those. The negative side is we're seeing decreasing, not across the board in every grade, but in some grades, especially the higher level grades, we're seeing decreasing parent involvement in parent conferences, even though we call them and we schedule it and we push for it and all of that. We're just seeing less and less and less. Not only as they go up through the grade, but like year over year for that one. And so even though we're doing parent conferences, in some of the grades, we're having less and less contact with parents at those conferences year over year.
Is that just parents like not wanting to?
Why? In person.
Yeah, so you guys want to give some feedback for what you think? Because I mean, even in some of the elementary grades, we used to have 100% consistently. And now we're running in that, 85, 88%. And then high school, we used to run 70% consistently. And now we're less than, 55? Around 55?
Can I
Yep. Nope. Yep.
It's the sign up process. It's the calling.
So interestingly enough, though, elementary moved to parents. So you can speak as a parent, but we have gone exclusively to signing up parents, teachers, send it out to parents. They set up for a time slot on their phone and sign up. They don't have to call anymore. They don't have to do it that. We did that last year. We're not seeing
Really?
a lot different number.
Okay.
Now, whole process with a lot, which is why we tried the parents' birthday. I think parents' birthday has been easier than them telling them in office. But I haven't seen.
Yeah, that's interesting.
And we've explored the online side.
Oh, I know.
For a while, it's tricky when there's not homeroom set up. And so the way that the system is built is to be a more elementary style homeroom teacher you sign up. Sign up with a bunch. The logistics of that have been challenging, but I agree with you. I mean, that's a parent. I get home from work and go, oh my gosh.
I forgot to call.
Didn't sign up for my parents' conference and now there's nobody there. So I was going to the spreadsheet and had my name, but that's because I have the
Yeah.
That's the first benefit I found so far.
I'm ashamed to say I'm terrible at stuff. But
Yeah.
I usually do it when they call me. And I'm like, gosh, I forgot.
Oh my gosh, yes, please put me on a date.
Like, oh my God, I'm supposed to be here.
So anecdotally, I don't have any scientific evidence that this has mattered. So of course, when COVID hit and we moved to remote, it wasn't as big of a deal, but I have gone back and looked as much as I can, go back and look and track. And when we shifted to Skyward parent access, they can get their grades and report card anytime. Like they can get all the information they need online on the app. So I don't have to come to school to get an update on my kids' academics. So if I don't have a problem,
I don't need to wait.
I don't have to be there. And we don't have it tied to enrollment. Used to, we could, now we can't. So there's no teeth in that either. Go ahead.
And I think maybe that's what I was going to hit on. So we've been here forever. I'm still in the carpool lane. But you have that, and you can vouch for me, I think, there was a time where there was a parent contract. These are your requirements if your student is accepted here.
And if you don't,
Had to be at there's nothing that says, well, you didn't show up, so we need to talk. It's now optional. There's nothing holding them to, there's a requirement because we accepted you in here. I never had a problem with the requirement. I think the requirement should still be implemented, but you're right. You can
Legally,
leave
we
the
can't.
grades. Nobody cares about the report. I don't care about the report part.
I don't need to
want
piece of
that
paper.
base time.
Yeah.
So maybe if there's some
I thought that
flexible.
was mandatory. That's why I always.
we say it's mandatory.
And I'm telling you, I never have.
No,
like,
but
I don't
what
have an issue.
consequence?
And I would say that the two of you don't
I know.
represent the general population as two parents who also serve on the board. It's a 4-hour-long thing. I know, but
This is before me.
well, I just mean you represent a very engaged parent as someone who sits in this capacity. But that's very true. I think we also 58% at the high school. At the high school, middle school is higher than that, elementary is higher than that. So I think there's also, in that date, I can remember we had every middle school child in one building, 5th through 8th, in the Quinn building.
Mhm.
So for a few classes in the DCAC, we had, under 200 middle school students, really small staff. That makes managing parents easier when you grow. It's harder to manage that number of people, that rate of, we want to see parents.
And volunteer hours. We used to have hours we had to do.
We would track them down if they didn't. And
Sign in, you know, so is there an E option for that to
Can
maybe?
we add to our plan that by leveraging parental involvement somehow will aid in. I forgot what the question was, but we,
I meant,
so that is a resource that we're not tapping into fully that could free up other resources here in other ways.
could potentially.
how do you want to word that?
I want to leverage parent involvement to.
I'm just gonna write it across the bottom so that y'all have it when you're kind of sitting this.
Yes. I think that'd be great. Let's not lose track of it.
Like it'll go leverage.
Leverage parent involvement.
Parent involvement.
So I think when we're talking about like,
To maximize student learning experiences and outcomes.
so when I think in this lever, right, we're specifically talking about physical structures, technology, finance, right? Like that's the area for this one. So operations, yeah, like the operational side of the house, finance and operations side of the house. And so I think thinking about that, thinking about the other things that we've brought up, right? Like that's where you're pushing us next
Yeah.
is, so what, now what, right?
I think like time is a resource and time costs us money.
Mhm.
And if the parents can shoulder some of that weight, some of that attention, then it frees up our staff to
Mhm.
to have their decompress time or to do a club or whatever
Potentially.
else that will aid in other stuff.
So just to go back with what you were talking about, like in your mind, really, when you're talking about that first bullet, right? When we're talking about either parent teacher conferences or when you're talking about like the calendar or the master schedule, like how can we leverage parents to create more impact with that time? I don't know that parents would really have anything with aging devices or that they would necessarily help unless we've got like some grant writers or some things like that that could help with identifying strategic allocations of resources and budget. But I can definitely see like where that would come into play for that first bullet. Okay, sorry.
No, it's all great conversation. We want to capture it. We still do have 2 more guiding questions. I think some of the thoughts that we're having kind of holistically will kind of align with some of the other questions. Well, so let's go ahead and move on to guiding question 3. Would you read that one for us?
Our district's financial, technology, and site operational systems and processes robustly managed to ensure accuracy, security, compliance, and transparency? And are there effective mechanisms in place for their continuous monitoring, assessment, and refinement to enhance overall efficiency.
All right, so financial, technical, and operational. Well, let's do
Okay, by the word.
to ensure accuracy, compliance, as well as transparency, have effective mechanisms in place for continuous monitoring.
That's region 12, right?
In what aspect?
The checks and balances that the district needs for, like, for instance, make sure that the board members are getting their training that required of them.
Yeah, we are one mechanism to do that. Absolutely. We are, in some sense, but in some senses, we are a vendor for a lot of those needs. Whether that be academically, governance, training, business services.
But we're not the check. So
You're the support for the balance.
with the support, but we don't check for compliance.
Nor are we regulatory in any way.
Right.
Nobody from the service center is gonna ever come and say, you're doing this wrong.
Except for an IDA,
Except what?
an intruder detection audit.
Oh, well, and in those cases,
It's a
those
contract.
individuals, so I still have my badge right here.
It's a contract.
It's
Yeah.
actually, I'm also a member of PEA in that sense. That's a Texas Education Agency Office of School Safety and Security. That's the only time.
Yep.
But yeah. Other than that, you got me on that. Other than that, no.
On your audit committee, your legal team that you reference for certain things that come down from TEA, those would be the people on your side on the district that are like, red flag over here, what are we doing about it?
Sometimes, yes.
So let's look at the evidence that we collect, or the takeaways that we took from the evidence that we collect. Here were the big three. Technology infrastructure is aging, kind of as we talked a little bit about tonight, as far as hardware as well, and currently experiencing issues with Wi-Fi. No formal replacement plan yet in place.
Although I will say, he's, no formal replacement plan, but it is something that your technology director is thinking through and actually, E-rate, it's the second,
Category 2.
category 2, thank you. The second category, is kind of a plan that he's working towards.
Trying to get some federal funding to help that.
So the positive, there's a plan to make a plan.
Yeah.
Right.
There's a plan to make a plan, and that yes.
Well, and I would say on the positive, your tech director is leveraging all available resources to meet the need for that.
Lack of routine maintenance plan or schedule, particularly with the largest concern of AC units. That's something we talked about.
Yeah.
Was maintenance, when you're talking about 4 different campuses
Mhm.
stretched across and how many AC units there are. And I'll tell you from a personal aspect, in the district that I used to serve, it felt like AC units were going down every time you turned around. And just as a matter of,
Whitlark's going.
that's, every time AC unit goes down, there's 10 grand.
Mhm.
And so, we talked about there wasn't really necessarily a plan or documented or formulated schedule for maintenance. So do we know the dates of all of them? Let's know the dates. So building that system of knowing where we are as far as inventory, and for regular maintenance, and replacement. And support is provided from Region 12 to help ensure compliance and routine management. Although cash flow appears to be an ongoing concern, this can contribute to prioritizing financial obligations, although all financial audits have been cleaned and without findings. So that's the most important part of that sentence right there. There's been no issues on audits or anything like that. When we talked to Jeffrey, he said most of the funds appear to be in investments most of the time. So cash on hand, most of the cash is in those investment opportunities yielding higher growth, and then we'll pull it when we need it. But it said sometimes it can be concerned if we have to put accounts payable off for a little bit to make sure that we have the cash we need for payroll. So again, these aren't negatives or positives. We're just telling you our unbiased opinion on what we've assessed. Any other insight feedback that we haven't provided here?
No, I would just say on that last comment, cash flow appears to be an ongoing concern. That's one of the things I talked with you about earlier, which is that shift from a growth, like cash flow hadn't been an issue because we're always growing and more money's coming, to now what we have to do is shift
It's not
into.
getting where it's at, right?
It's for all intents and purposes, it's capped. Like we may grow 5 to 10 more students, but we cap at 950. And there's no way we're ever going to have every kid in every seat in every grade, pre-K through 12, because high school doesn't really re-enroll once a kiddo leaves, right? So that we're somewhere in that 10 to 15 kiddo range from really where we're probably going to be at an effective cap. And so I think that's one of the things that Jeffrey brought up with them is, okay, so what does it look like from here, like an ongoing meaning from here forward? Not ongoing as in the last 5 years, we've had a cash flow problem because we haven't, but like in this transition into kind of a stable mindset on the financial side, what does it look like moving forward? How do we make sure we're being smart so that a year from now, we don't have to say, sorry, we have no money, we're out of everything. Like you can only get what you have and nobody gets raises ever again, right? Like, how do we plan for what that looks like? So that's really what, to me, that comment is.
Yeah, she did say there was any issues, but most of it was in the investment fund, is that right?
Mhm.
Yeah, until you need it.
Mhm. Yep.
All right. Anything else that we want to add to this or thought process before we get into the pros and cons or areas of lows and grows? That's the routine. Have a conversation again. What are things we want to identify as pluses? Things we want to identify as minuses with the evidence that we propose in regard to our questions. Take a couple of minutes, read that over. We'll start calling out.
On the third time, it's like that there is some plan to have one cabin, we're working towards getting it fixed. It's not fixed yet, and we don't have a plan yet, but we have a plan for the plan. So I think it will be both.
Is that a positive or a negative?
It can be both sides. Like, it's a good thing that we know that we have a problem and we can fix it.
I like
The
that
bad
phrasing.
thing is
Mhm.
that we don't have the plan yet.
I like that. It's a good thing that we know.
We're acknowledging that
aging.
plan needs to be placed, but we need to start building a plan.
So they've got like
So we
Cat
know
5
that
cable
we're
instead of
starting
Cat 6
and we're
cable.
trying
And so
to-
basically we can get all this data and it's sucked into this really tiny wire. And so we've got to build that back out so that.
There's an issue with the bank.
Yep.
So that's not,
Area.
there's a hole in the process. But then we caught it, but we didn't catch it at the outset. So I would say that that's
Mhm. I agree.
growing on both counts.
So I would also echo that a negative. So
We want to come, how do we want to come back and raise that piece up for the bank? That has to do with bond payment?
it has to do with debt covenants.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I would just say we had an issue with the bank and we didn't catch the issue with the bank.
It's just on the negative side. It's not a positive side. Yeah. Yeah.
On the positive side, is that we're thinking of hiring,
Financial advisor.
financial advice.
Mhm. They can help bridge the gap.
To help.
The bank told us that we had.
They're probably going to tell us. They suggested it. Yeah. They suggested it, but I expect them to tell us that we have to. They suggested it at this point, but I expect them to tell us it. But I think to go from that, to me, like an even bigger negative on that is that everything was tied up in one position. The knowledge base, the tracking, which I know, I'm your superintendent. I'm supposed to know all of that and all of that. And I own it 100%, like really own it 100%. But everything was tied up in one person's mind and one person's control and great, honest, trustworthy person, right? Like, but we're so small. It's hard for me to wrap my brain around all the things and check and make sure that all that is happening and this is happening and that data is, and so that system has to be fixed.
Can we change that? Like,
Mhm.
assign somebody else to?
So I think the change is going to be in the reports that are required monthly.
Okay.
So that we're not going 2 months past reports. And there's a different set of reports that I'm going to pull as superintendent that are not pulled from a person. I pull them. So there's like that independent checks and balances, I think that'll happen. And then, so anyway, setting up a cadence of like checks and balances, I guess is a better way to put it. And so I think, again, Katrina's absolutely amazing but she just was a one-person shop with it all in her mind and just kind of managed that. And so,
Single point of failure.
and so when she transitioned out, we had 3 months that was like, who's doing what? Where's it gonna go? Yeah.
Planning for some of the major roles within the administration.
Yeah, so like systems, succession planning, like,
Creating a system
Or failover.
to monitor the financial
Mhm.
systems.
mhm.
Right?
It's a liability. The fact that we need to create, this is a to-do, is, we need to create sustainability plans for these key positions. Is that what
I
you
think
were
that's,
saying?
yeah, I think that's definitely it.
Happy to have no transition of. Well, is that correct? Or is that-
Yeah, just, but we transitioned to Region 12 just to get functional support, right? Not like
We are not your current,
forecasting,
for example,
right?
yeah, when I had to part ways with a business manager, Region 12 became my,
Yes,
that was about land.
yes.
That's not the case with y'all. They are there for support.
They're bridging the gap.
Yeah.
Ideally, we were finding our own person, but we haven't been able to find somebody. And so now that's what we're looking at, is that kind of a model that's charter specific. So yes, I think those two things in that one, I think the sustainability plan, right? So what is happening? If I get hit by a bus tomorrow, whoever steps into this role, like there has to be some systems in place for you as a board to be able to know what's happening or what the next person is. Or if something happens to Tyler or Jennifer or the CFO, or like we had food service transition and there was a lot of things that happened that didn't get transitioned. They got fixed almost immediately, but it was a scramble to say, okay, what all needs to be changed, what all logins need to be changed, what all reports are we do every month, like, and so we've started some of those things in some of the other positions, but this one was one that, again, I expected to be there for a long time, and then, 2-week notice and a shift and move, and then that's where we were, and so I definitely think those two things. I think we had the issue with the bank, but we didn't find it until we had to submit the report, but the report was late because we didn't know that the report needed to be submitted because it was all held up in one person's structure. And so I think those are the things that are all kind of coming out from this staff transition, has really caused some eye-opening moments, I think. Again, nothing unethical, illegal, immoral, nothing fraudulent, nothing, any of that sort of stuff. It's just, whoa, a key person left.
Yeah.
Whoa, like,
So what else stands out?
One,
we're saying great.
thought we had a maintenance plan. Did we?
So years ago, we started a facilities documents, probably your first year, maybe your second year, back when Jared Gould was here. And so he started that process. Well, since then, we've done a lot of updates and a lot of changes, and AC units have been fixed and repaired and whatever. And so that is not anywhere close to updated for that. So I think it'll be an easy lift. I think it's a great lift. I think it'll be an easy lift to kind of pick that bug up and refine it and move forward from that.
Yeah.
But-
After something about a routine plan,
Well, we have a rudimentary facilities plan,
we do.
super basic and out of date by probably 4 years. So it's not being used right now because it's out of date and ineffective. So I would say we have the startings of one, but it's out of date and not being utilized.
The safety walkthroughs are happening under
Mhm.
Chad's direction with regularity.
Rashada came the other day. Yep. So to me, if we're going to give a big positive somewhere in this part of it, the safety facility stuff that has happened on the campuses with campus committees and teams, with the trainings and development, and with the things that we're doing across the district, whether it's guardian program or compliance or emergency response, we have grown in massive leaps and bounds over the last few years.
Anything else we want to catch before we move to that last guiding question?
So as far as the gym goes,
Mhm.
now with all the new equipment, so it's those things been documented. So we'll know when it was installed. Is that, so that's something that.
That will be a part of the plan whenever we put the plan
Okay.
together.
Okay.
Mhm.
I didn't know if you were doing that.
Yeah.
We have the paperwork for it. It hasn't been compiled into a plan.
Needs to be re-inventoried itself.
Uh-huh.
Okay.
All right, so let me just recap what we have here. So for question 2, some positives. We know a plan needs to be in place. And we're in the very beginning stages of thinking through, as far as this was a tech
That's tech Wi-Fi. Mhm.
tech infrastructure plan. Sorry, my writing is just getting worse, isn't it? The potential of hiring a financial advisor to help, although maybe that came from a hardship,
It may be a push instead of a selection.
it would be a positive for you all. Safety walkthroughs are happening with regularity. And then the safety systems that have grown by leaps and bounds, the different systems y'all have put in place recently. This kind of goes along with this first one. There isn't quite yet a formal plan in place to replace aging network hardware and the Wi-Fi. This one goes along with that there has been an issue with the bank, and everything was pretty much tied up in the head of one person and kind of left with them. A need to create sustainability plan for key positions around the district so that doesn't happen again. And then there is a maintenance or facility plan that is not saved by multiple years.
The last guiding question before we start. Mary, would you read that one for us?
To what extent do our district's enrollment processes and operational services, including transportation, food services, and facilities, prioritize and effectively respond to the diverse needs of students and families, ensuring equitable access to quality educational options and fostering a welcoming and secure environment for all stakeholders?
Enrollment process, operational services, prioritize and effectively respond to the diverse needs to the stakeholders and create a welcoming environment. Here are our big takeaways. Enrollment has helped balance the decline in grant funding, but the district is reaching capacity as indicated in the charter. I think 950 is what you just said is the cap. Meal prep, though, when we talk food service, has increased to 30% scratch cooking rather than previously, which was 100% prepackaged. So more things are being cooked in house and freshly each day. They deliver between campuses. That's happening every day. All students receive free breakfast and lunch. Parents pay monthly fee for the after school snack. But there's 3 meals served throughout the day, or 3 opportunities for food, and they are responsive to the dietary needs as they arrive. So there's about 40 or so dietary needs across the entirety of the district. They've done a pretty good job of identifying those students are. Security audit revealed 2 external door issues. He said a concern, just because the ports of the campus and being spread out with security fencing at the secondary campus. Standard response protocol has been implemented this school year, talking about using the same language across the district. I think they're using the I love you guys language.
SRP, yep.
Protocol.
And we did our first ever reunification training this fall and.
With standard safety language, and although routes are not done as far as like house pickup in the morning or after school, it was already noted that transportation is provided to all course offerings and extracurricular events. But like you noted too, he said, well, I've got 2 maintenance guys, but one of them is bus driver remote, so it hurts us on the maintenance side and trying to get bus drivers. Last process, the routine, thinking about the meat and potatoes of the evidence that we delivered on those 4 bullets. How are we best addressing that question with positive and negatives regarding our operational services here at Rapoport?
I don't need to think about it. I'm very excited about the food service that we have now. I'm very proud of that.
That's a positive.
Yes, that we have chef and cooking and like trying to stay away from pre-pack and then I'm very excited about that because I'm big into
Healthy foods.
healthy food and that to me is a big, I'm very proud that our school is doing that. So.
And he has already been able to see cost savings and consumption increases. So he's already seeing, now he's working to get them bigger and bigger savings, right? But he's already seeing decreased costs in our food service costs, and he's already seeing an increase in the consumption rates, which means an increase in reimbursement. So added revenue for eating more. And he's seeing that both at breakfast and at lunch.
Fortunately, kids are liking what they eat.
Mhm.
It helps.
So we throw away less food and say, you know, and they will saving money, it's a win-win. I think we're doing a great job on that.
And I think to piggyback on that, there are high school students I know that over the last 3 years that have always said, well, we don't eat when we come to lunch because we don't like it. So we just wait until we get home. So they go home, go all day without eating. Then they're trying to perform in a class that they can't focus on because they're hungry. Well, now that's going to shift the dynamics in the classroom for the student and the teacher as well, because the teacher is affected by how the student is affected and vice versa.
Yep.
And I have a kid that is gluten free and he's finding out, I mean, where was packed because before he didn't have many options. And now he's like, Mom, I can eat from school, I can eat something. He's spoiled, but yeah, it's not because he's spoiled,
But when it's,
that's beside the point.
but when it's pre-packaged, a lot of the stuff has gluten because it's highly preserved, right? And so less prepackaged, more scratch makes a huge difference in that.
So anyway, I emphasize on that because I'm very excited, very proud.
So I would say with all that said, it does foster a welcoming and secure environment for all stakeholders. It's all the way around, from student to staff.
I think since we're talking about food service, I think on a big positive side, he is also being very intentional about cultural foods and trying to make sure that he brings lots of different kinds of foods so that kiddos see themselves in the foods at school. Like,
He talked about working on the menu.
Yeah.
And not only
Yeah.
that, he wants to have feedback from the kids.
He's
That means that he's
always asking them.
trying to
Mhm.
improve and get better.
Mhm.
I can emphasize more on that, I guess.
Don't they have a student committee that helps with
One
that?
time.
So they had a student committee that did a report back to it, but he is actually just going every day to the kids in the lunchroom and just asking, walking, talking, breakfast and lunch to staff too.
And that makes them feel like what they think
All
about
Mhm.
it, what matters.
I mean-
They're key investors as well.
I don't mind throwing out a couple of negatives. So on the safety side, I think we need to echo back in with that facilities plan. Is I think looking at long-term safety needs and proactively planning for updating of cameras and things like that. And it was already in the plan that you guys approved tonight for the safety money, but that's part of what we're looking at with that is this camera's getting out of date. This camera doesn't cover this area. We need to move this. And so
Here's a
I think-
common theme of routine maintenance replacements.
I think proactive planning for that,
Yes.
right? Like it's one thing to have a list of the AC units. It's another one to have it budgeted and planned every year.
Inventory is one thing, plan on when we're gonna replace it, the last thing is another.
And then I'm going to flip over. It's on the negative side, but historically it hasn't been a problem, but it's going to be a problem. And that's on really the first bullet. So not just with declining grant funding, but as we now have entered into kind of stable funding models, we're going to have to be more intentional about pre-planning for large expenses because they're not going to naturally be available because of enrollment growth. And so that's where that facilities plan comes into play. But if I have 3 units go out, $30,000, I only have 90 buffer in that whole big $11 million budget, right? There's only $90,000 in buffer. And so whether that goes back in the facilities plan or whatever else, but I think it's that real, true, long-term forecasting of expenses or things like that. If we want to do raises every year, we're going to have to anticipate what our revenue is going to be 4 years from now and make those plans now for then so that we have the revenue then to be able to make the raises then. Otherwise, we're going to make a raise now and then no raises for the next 2 years because we won't have planned for that money. So
There's some stipend that some of other teachers receive that teachers here are not receiving. So for retention purposes too.
Yep.
Will be a concern.
absolutely.
Is there
Those are-
thoughts on, I know you're talking about factoring in replacements and when they're needed, they're structured to bring in what's called like a life cycle chart instead of, you know what I'm saying?
That's what Brownlee's working on. Yep,
Okay.
exactly that. Thank you for using the right technical terms. But yeah, so equipment, network, Wi-Fi, security systems, servers, like creating life cycles for all of that is what he's working on. With the anticipated funding streams to go with it. It's one thing to know it's going to die in 3 years. It's another one to plan for the spending of the money in 3 years.
Something to the next part, one of the, about the security, the audit security that we have issued with it all fixed right away.
Mhm.
And I think it's supposed to be that, is being fixed.
Yep.
Like so far, and we are actually taking proactive, measures that maybe we can either do the, you know.
Yeah,
electronic
the
measure
sensors or whatever.
or
Mhm.
or things like that, like we are actually training the staff, trying to keep an eye on the kids like that, or positives that,
Mhm.
yes, we work hard. Recommended, but we're fixing it like right away.
I also think to go with that, I'd like y'all's opinion on it, but we don't typically, and I know some places do, we don't get complaints about, most part, being unsafe. My kid doesn't feel safe, the campus doesn't feel safe, the classrooms don't feel safe. We don't, I mean, we'll have like a periodic like social dynamic issue, right, between two kids or between two students or a group of kids, but on the whole, we don't hear that, hey, this doesn't feel, we hear the opposite. On a whole, I bring my kid here because it's safe, it's relational, it's small, it's that sort of stuff. And so I think that goes to kind of what you said, we're very responsive and very quick, and we address things very quick.
And we prove it,
Mm.
not just that we think we are, we should prove it with what happened.
So this strategic plan from, I guess this one,
This one, that was the one that expired. So
It's-
that is expiring.
It
in
is
26.
expiring in 26.
okay, it's on here, like on the strategic priorities, we have develop and create plans to enhance facilities and ensure safety. Like, was that plan made and now?
We had turnover.
Well, two different things. So the emergency operations plan that we have right now and the facilities plan are two pieces to that. So we have the basic facilities plan. It's just out of date. It hasn't been maintained. It was created initially, but that was 5 years ago.
In 2022.
Yeah. Yeah. So, I mean, we've done lots of stuff since then and it just hasn't been updated. It just went on a shelf and kind of sat there. So then the safety side of things, all the updates that you guys have been walking through and approving are all because of that safety response plan. So the window film, the fencing covers, the mesh that went on the buildings, the doors, all the camera systems, like all of that was part of our safety development to ensure that our campuses function safely.
So. Oh, sorry.
No, I
Go ahead.
just, I guess thinking of facilities and safety, so we've done the safety side of this, but any kind of enhancement to our facilities. We said we were gonna do it 4 years ago and then we just did it.
We said we were going to do the plan. We did the plan. We didn't keep going.
Now I'm here, like when we're planning,
We want to
we should say more than we just need to make a plan.
update and keep it going.
Do the plan.
That's what I would say. Yeah.
But also our
Yeah.
facilities,
And then top back to level
did.
one.
He's had
we
3
talked
since then.
about that
Yeah.
performance analysis of those plans. We got it back in the
Reporting on them. Yeah, that's why
reporting
there
on
was
progress.
turnover too. On the facility side, so.
Mhm. So I think now we have a facilities committee. We didn't have one before. And so I think with that initiative, I anticipate that initiative coming from this, one of those things. And so we have a committee that will then monitor, watch and track those. So-
The same scheduling
Mhm,
things,
mhm.
and then
Reviewing, monitoring, like all that stuff will come with the cadence. Yeah, with the cadence of meetings. So just to go back and like straight answer, it was created and then it was bookshelfed and sat. So was it effectively used? No. Was it created? Yes. Jared Gould created that way back when he very first started. And then it just sat to do that.
And we're getting closer to kind of report our next organic a little bit. I'm gonna recap that for, I'll recap it real quick, and then we're gonna get to that.
She said, nope, she walked away.
Process. The positives, we've identified strength in food service, that 30% scratch, or moving even more than that, 9% prepackaged. More students are eating at school, addressing dietary and cultural needs. Security audit, fines were, fixed immediately. Clearly talking about the doors. I think me and him talking about 2 external doors for the day that they needed repair. I even been on the conversation tonight and feeling of a safe environment. And then areas of growth that we can still focus on, facility planning, long-term needs, campus proactive planning, which we just discussed, and moving to stable funding and intentional planning for long-term planning. So we're going to take those 3 areas, particularly on the back side of the C charts, for this last activity as we identify collectively as a steering committee what one or two initiatives we want to resonate on tonight. The goal, let's find one or two initiatives. I probably wouldn't push it past two, unless you're just adamant about, within your conversation that there needs to be a third one. I think we identified one last month. The process is to spend 5 minutes individually reviewing the leverage handout that Allison gave you. Remember, it is broken down into categories of essential actions that then get even more specific into key practices. We can use the language between the essential actions and the key practices to create a more specific Rapoport-ish, if you will, initiative. We can restructure some of the wording. We kind of did that last month, if you think about it. But we want to identify one or two initiatives based on those essential actions or key practices. Take the time to think through your connections while looking at that document, and on 2 sticky notes, write 2 areas of prioritization for the district. And with Allison's help and her head, we're going to collectively, you're going to get up and we're going to place those on our chart, right? We have that made out. Your slide here. We're going to identify what areas those resonate to. So take some time, look at the language, and reflect on what sticks out to you as areas or organization to identify as an initiative. Because we really want to stand back and let it all go.
You want us to put them up there? Is that what you said?
Yeah, so when you get ready, you pulled your 2 big items. Come up here, and these are the categories based in level 6 that we want to see where they're housed. Teacher and student time, budget, finance, enrollment and access, technology, data systems, site operation.
Wait, so is this supposed to be a?
What is overall?
You want to pick the numbers, right?
Overall, yes, yeah. Pick the number. Yeah. What you think the biggest areas of focus?
Yeah, so you wanna, you can put the words, if that one or that one.
You gotta have
or
one map.
Okay.
Okay.
It will be great.
Amanda, you did it right.
I did it right.
You did it right. Even if he says you didn't, you did. No.
There is no wrong.
If I did it wrong, blame it on my YouTube.
Mark, we say the same for you.
Oh, that is true. You know how many
Do you hear me?
times I get asked.
We say the same for Mark.
You said if it's not wrong, blame it on me. That's what they say about me.
He uses country English a lot.
Oh.
If I was in trouble, I'm like, oh, I don't know anything, sorry.
We should teach her.
That marquee. Are you bragging about that marquee?
We're gonna get you a shirt.
But I think I make out on my Thursday. I'm not good, like, hang out with y'all and money. And I guess I did the other. You can say about mixed us all. I did it, y'all. I'll have it on my calendar and then if I ever have a day that y'all are doing all that I'm. What? I won't be here. Well, I'll plan for that. Where at?
I don't.
You forgot? Yeah.
What is yours? I'm the park in here. Came to the service center in January.
Yes, I would have thought.
That's my body. I'm the one who got hurt 20 years ago. Yeah. You're up. So we get back. My wife. I said last quarter, it's been after years of coaching and moving around the state, you kind of suffer by situation. Yes, ma'am. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
God's kind, right?
Looks like there's a lot of looks like there's a lot of similarities.
There are, if we look at this like a heat map, so here's what we're gonna do. Thank y'all for participating, because every month we come here, we're excited because this is a great collective group that works together. We can have open and honest conversation, which is important, for the continuous improvement of any district that we work with. So if we look at this as a heat map, we're gonna review this. And then we're gonna throw it back at you, and then we're gonna capture kind of what you formulate, just like we did last month. We'll get back on the computer and we'll capture the one or two initiatives that we hopefully resonate to. But if we look at this, we've got some that are kind of tweeners here, I'm assuming. If we look at teacher and student time, we've got a response that says, look at the school day master schedule, 612. We also have a plan to replace aging technology. Okay, we might put that one down here as well. Teacher time, which would help remove costs. I think this goes back down here we talked about, and monitoring or revenue monitoring. We have a lot here on the heat section of budget finance. We have budget to maximize our student outcomes, strategic budget allocation, systems and financial monitoring and reporting. And also that reporting piece tie back into level 1 that we talked about last month. We have ensuring sustainable practices that have proactive approaches to spending for long-term needs, strategic budget allocation, developing a process to monitor projection compliance. It ties back into level 1 too, strategic budget allocation. So we got a lot of heat going on right here. We don't really have anything on enrollment and access. We've got some in technology data systems and a lot inside operation. And some of us bleeds over. So technology and data systems and management. This says implementation of tech plan for life expectancy or the life cycle management, site operations as a whole, and then develop and maintain adherence to the completed maintenance plan, sustainability plan for key leadership administrative positions. I think we talked about succession earlier. Facilities plan and maintenance, develop a maintenance and facilities plan, site operations, adequate campus facilities and maintenance, plan for adequate campus facilities and maintenance and follow-up. So I'm seeing a lot here. What's the big word that I keep saying?
Maintenance.
Maintenance, plan, routine, right? So Here's what I'd like to do. I'd like to give you guys 5, 6, 7 minutes, however it is, collectively, have conversations across the table, intersectional, whatever you want to call it, within the committee. You guys are building the initiative moving forward. I think our suggestion would be to tell you it's something with routine maintenance, schedule and formal planning, and what else? Allocation of budget,
Yeah.
resources and funding. I think those are probably the 2 areas we're going to resonate on tonight. I don't know. Maybe not the best word. That we want to get close to, okay? Think about that. Maybe you find a leader within yourself to help us capture that, put the language together. When you're ready, let's start spitting it out. Let's see what sticks. We've had a lot of great conversation tonight, both on internal evidence and external evidence.
Are we doing this as a collective or breaking
Yeah.
into our committees?
As a collective,
Oh, okay.
because we just have the two really. So really, as a collective, what phrase would you want to say on budget and finance? Like if you could only pick one thing to send to your district, what in budget and finance? So use these for leverage words, right?
Monitoring.
So what phrase would you use to say, hey, this is the action that I want to make sure that superintendent and team are doing? Looking at, walking through.
Monitoring of financial expenditures and what's income for school call?
Revenue.
Or maybe just forecasting would
Yeah.
encompass both. Yeah.
So with the issues that we've kind of uncovered, reflected on moving forward, that 6.2.4, the very last one. When you look at that one, I mean, active revenue, cost monitoring and analysis, right? Like that's proactive. That's years down the road. That's where are you spending money right now? That's what does it look like if somebody heads out? Like, how are you tracking that? How can you move past an individual? Like, I feel like that resonates in a lot of ways. I don't know what your words would look like towards that one. I mean, I think you could really put all 4 of those, right? But if you had to lead to one that talks about succession planning, it's all in one person's mind. There was delayed responses. There was instability and turnover. It really echoes in that last one, but I would want you guys to kind of lead and guide those words.
Just, I do like the part that says impacting students. Everything that encompasses relates to student health.
Yeah.
Mhm.
How about that whole bullet? I mean,
ChatGPT said we could ensure that financial, facility, and operational resources are strategically managed, equitably allocated, and sustainably maintained to provide safe, innovative, and effective learning environments that directly enhance student achievement and resilience.
I think that's all good, but what's the initiative?
What's the task? So for instance, the other initiatives we have the teacher incentive allotment. We have revamping the pathway to champion our teacher development model. We have,
looking for alternative sources of funding.
might be one.
Oh, not.
No, that's not an initiative, but no, but so we already have those 6 levers, right? We've
Oh.
got the pathways, pipelines and partnerships. We've got teacher incentive allotment. We've got strong foundations. We've got student engagement. And we've got the pathways to champions, rework. And then
What are we supposed to be calling?
I think
So we're actually gonna do.
623 encompasses all of it.
it's a task. Sorry, Neil. Yes.
The district maintains sound accounting practices in accordance with statutes and local requirements to support fiscal transparency and responsibility. Well, that covers everything from your monitoring to your communication with your reporting to catching your revenue and your expenditures. Like, I think that bullet is everything that the district needs to. 623.
2-3. That's what she said.
I wouldn't disagree. To me, it may be missing from the conversations.
I thought that we have to come up with an initiative. That's what we.
An initiative.
Yeah, you can use this language, you can use this to help you create your own unique language if it's more specific to what we discussed now, Rapoport. We're using this kind of as a roadmap, a guiding document. I was gonna say, I thought
It always,
it says district maintains, do we have the development piece yet on summer?
yeah, that's the development and the implementation of the processes.
Which is, I think, the added, when you talk about facilities plan here in a minute, I think those added words
Might be a combination of
is
both.
what you're gonna talk
I don't know.
about, right?
That's already in our strategic plan.
The one that, but you have one that's expiring, is that the one you're referring to?
Updating that,
So
so.
we never done any, we just created it, but
Right.
never follow up with that, so I think that
We're putting the
we be
opting.
actually, yeah, follow up that, make sure that we're.
Is that what you're saying, Amanda? That it was written in there?
Yeah, so are we coming up with new things or are we just doing this planning again because we didn't do it?
It expires.
Yeah.
But
I think the best answer to that is,
I think there's two different, I understand where you're coming from.
yeah, if it was in the plan and it wasn't executed with fidelity, it was out.
we need to do it again.
If it's still a focus and a priority, but maybe we need to construct it in a way so it is implemented. Like we talked about, the plan was created.
Yeah, in a very
But it
basic
wasn't
rudimentary
managed.
form.
But I think that we have started to address that piece of it by last month, talking about that. The planning and performance management piece that we identified in level 1.
Which is that cadence of meetings, right? The checks and balances. So all of the levers that you put on here, any of them are going to exist underneath that cadence of meetings, that calendar of checks and balances, moving through that. I think on the financial one, I want to push you guys a little bit further into like, but what do you want to see happen on the financial lens, right? Budget and finance. Like what,
Use the word
Hey,
task. What is
hey,
that?
Newman, if you do this, you will have achieved the highest priority on this budget and finance, right? Which almost everybody kind of put a little thing out there. Like, because I can work on compliant, but that doesn't necessarily mean it's gonna, we are in some ways we're not. In some ways we are compliant, but it doesn't mean that it's withstood turnover. Or it might withstand turnover, but it might not be compliant. So like, what is it as a board when you talk about this section, budget and finance? Like, what is your thing? Like Newman, this is your thing. Your one lever in this thing that we want, and it may be like kind of a multi-layer, right? Implement, monitor, whatever, but
I would probably go as far as research, identify and implement an automatic process that reports the expenditures and the expenses and catches pitfalls in any financial buckets, if you will. That way, if you decide tomorrow, please don't. but I'm gonna hire
yeah,
you tomorrow to
no,
leave,
yeah.
that process is in place and can just be passed to the next person because it's just routine. Like you're
Mhm.
kind of hands off, but you're still getting the information that you need, but there's some sort of automated process that provides that information.
Yeah. And I will tell you, like, so historically, looking at it, forecasting wasn't as big of a deal because we were going to be growing 10% every year. And so now, not only do we have turnover, which created some like temporary instability. Now, granted, yes, we had expenditures. We knew they were coming. We planned for them. It was a little more than we expected, but it's fine. We'll move from that. But like moving forward, what does that look like? What is the projections, the monitoring? Like if it's January, how are you guys going to know? You get a budget report every month. You get a cash flow report every month. But how are you going to know that in January, we're on track for this year and we're already starting to talk about next year? Like, what does that look like? So I would almost think developing a system that meets compliance requirements, but takes into account analysis and projections.
Yeah, I
Like,
don't know if it's really compliance. I like the 622, the strategic budget allocation, right? We have this much money and we have this goal, student outcomes, this goal with your
Mhm.
students. And so we got to divvy up this money that we have to maximize those outcomes. And I mean, there are ways that we can do that more effectively and figure out how, like, what is the best use, what's going to go to the long list, or what values do we have that are going to guide this?
Isn't that what they are gonna do?
Some, but like, for instance, let's just use a real example, right? So if we've got a math struggle at middle school, right? Strategic allocation means, am I coming to you guys with a budget that talks about the math initiatives, say that, happens fast, right? The math initiatives, the costs associated with those, what it's going to do, and then we're monitoring the implementation, that's strategic analysis, that's strategic budget allocation. I think the flip side of that is overall budget transition, change, stability, projection, and all of that. So I think they're both important. I think it just depends on what the board really wants to spend their time.
And I guess that's what I'm getting at. What are our goals, right? We want, is this healthy, well-rounded, prepared for college and career student? One that maybe got a little bit extra time out playing soccer with the soccer team, but struggled in math because there weren't enough fourth-grade teachers. And so what are our values? What do we want to send the kids out in the world with, knowing that there's only this much money we can use to do it?
No, you had something here.
Well, no, I think it kind of lines up to that because the only way that you can make those strategic decisions is if you have a handle on what's going to be expected of you or what you can expect from a financial perspective
What's
in the
available?
future, right?
That's what you mean.
And so we have a biennial legislation. So we know for 2 years what revenue's likely going to look like from captive enrollment. We know that's, I mean, we should be able to see farther in the future.
Yep.
That we currently do, right? Like we should know. So I think that forecasting to me is maybe more of a priority because it would enable us to make some of those strategic choices and to see, and maybe we know 2 years down the road, and we've talked about this or we talked around this all night, like if we've got a major maintenance expense coming up, like that's something we have to handle and it's going to come at the cost of.
I guess that's part of the problem. We don't even know that.
That's what I'm saying. That's why
Yeah.
forecasting to me, and which would involve the creation of some type of like facilities and maintenance master plan. Where we could say, like, we know, I mean, we built this gym, we know there's gonna be a major overhaul of the HVAC system 2035 or something like that.
One is good at putting it feed the other, sure.
Exactly, yeah, so, yeah. I don't
So-
know if that's.
Yeah.
I wonder if like combining kind of what both of you guys said, which is really creating a financial management plan. Right, which includes where we are, where we've been, updates throughout the year and forecasting in the future, right? Like a financial management plan is long-term and current. So that's one with checks and balances along the way, right? If it's written down, it should withstand any person coming in or out because there's a standard expectation for monthly reporting and it's more than a balance sheet, right? Which is what you guys get every month. It's more than that. Right.
This is not a manual.
Somebody.
Yes. Yeah, but it's
But
more
it's
than the
just
bare
a-
minimum.
yeah.
Right, but I think if you were to do like a financial management plan that is both historical and living like current and projected, then that would give you that ability to make those strategic conversations like you're
You
talking
get
about.
bare minimum, you mean like this is what we have, like golden hand, like this is what we have promised to spend.
That's what,
That would.
Oh, no, I meant more like, the bare minimum is that we follow appropriate accounting and reporting practices and we maintain the requisite fund balances to satisfy credit and all that. stuff.
yeah, the big things, yeah.
But
But if we need to make a move on
strategic
that,
sense to me
we would
is
have
that as a board, we've got obviously the financial committee that can handle that. We've got the CFO, like we've got other people who are making those decisions. We have to make decisions about the future of the district and the most helpful thing for us. Strategic standpoint, I think is that kind of forecasting and knowing when to expect certain expenses, when we know what we can expect from a revenue standpoint, so that we can say, here's our priorities, we can try to.
Absolutely.
Do that.
That bus we have is the 2004. We better get ready to
Yeah.
No,
have $150,000 to replace it.
and I think that's the difference between being in the growth mindset, right? Where we've
Where-
been forever and in a healthy, we've reached our capacity, sustainable mindset, right? It's not that we're in bad financial shape. It's that we're not going to be growing by $150,000 every year, right? So now what we need to do is think about those things long term. And if it comes down to it, and we know we're going to have 3 AC units go out, we may not be able to do the district-wide T-shirt. I don't just do something out there, right? Like we may have to flex and move on those.
But is there preventative maintenance factored into any of that? Instead of, oh, something went out, well, were there things that could have been done along the way? So it's prolong the life of.
So we
A,
do
B,
that.
C?
We do that every year. Depends on which unit and depends on where it is and how long it's been. And we don't have like a preventive maintenance contract, but we come in and we clean out we clean out coils and we brush stuff down and we check on all that. But I think that's part of the facilities plan. So I think you're talking about two different things. So one of them is,
I think they're similar, but I think they're two different.
one feeds into the other one, but the other one,
So we want to do forecasting on revenues and expenditures. Right?
I mean, I would think the whole financial thing, investments,
Tell us how we want to.
right? So a
Financial
whole
management.
financial
Revenues, like that's money that we have.
Yeah.
I'm not a financial-
endowment investment. Tyler, what you got?
I'm just gonna add, I think the strategic component that's come up a few times and has the city notes up there is a part of that forecasting aspects, like, because we may not have like forecasting so that we can be strategic with allocation. And allocation is not just being operational, you know, but when you presented the budget and when you look at our budget, there's not a lot of money to move around it. This is not an easy decision
It's people.
that a group would need, but so much, we staff at a level that most schools do not staff per student. We intentionally enroll small classes, we intentionally have more teachers per student, that's an intentional decision. We also have other staff beyond teachers that are intentional, and so much of our budget is allocated towards staffing. And then the question is it strategic? Is it math staff? Math is our concern. So I think that I would just emphasize that in whatever formalized language, that forecasting also involves the ways that we look at strategic way that we allocate money. And it doesn't just mean materials we purchase. It's also how we allocate money to people and to positions. When we move out of growth and into stabilization, we've been adding staff for years and years and years because we've added students. Can't add staff. Sometimes we might not be able to sustain the staff members that we have. Those are hard decisions. Those are real people with real names who we love. You know, none of that is easy, but that is, I think, part of the next phase in talking about this financial stuff. So I would just challenge us to ensure that whatever language we're using, that strategic allocation is somehow embedded in.
So I wonder if it's like the creative financial plan that allows, including monitoring and forecasting, that allows for strategic budgeting. Right? Like you're creating a plan, financial plan that includes all of the revenues and expenses, right? That includes both monitoring and forecasting, which would then enable you guys to make strategic decisions like that. That may be too many words, but
That supports succession and stability. Because you can be as stable as you want if a position is filled, but that doesn't mean that the district is stable. If someone comes in, they're here for 6 months and they leave, and the position is open for 3 months and you feel like there's this revolving door, you know, that doesn't necessarily mean that you're stable just because you have a warm body.
Yeah, I think you're gonna have to forecast and monitor before you can determine what the strategic allocations are gonna be.
you don't even know what you have yet, right? Okay.
So yeah, you gotta have something, you gotta have basis.
Tell us what's right.
I think Milam's working on, are you working on it again?
We're trying to capture some of it as you talk.
Oh, I thought you saw you typing it out. I'm like, ooh,
I'm thinking, but I'm giving it to ChatGPT.
Yes, okay.
even better. Yay.
Look what else has been going on.
Just what y'all, like the long format there that y'all said.
Does it capture your thoughts? What is it missing that need to be cleaned up?
Maybe
Uh,
that
the chat work.
promotes strategic allocation versus
Mhm.
allows.
Say that again.
Promotes instead of allows or something,
Supports and
supports
promotes.
strategic allocation, one or the other.
I like it gives an encouragement like that.
Mhm.
to push to it.
Used, yeah. I like support.
Yeah,
ChatGPT did not like next week.
it did not.
Okay, so what I gave it, I said, we will create and manage financial plan that includes monitoring and forecasting that will enable the board to create a sustainable strategic budget that optimizes student success. that it was redundant and there's no metrics for sustainable or optimized success.
Well,
There's no time frame for monitoring and forecasting. There's no why.
But you got the financial plan.
You just put annually.
But that's why you have the financial plan.
Yeah, quarterly, annually, what are you thinking?
Talking about the length of the forecast. Is that what you're talking about?
Or the,
How
just the
often
plan
do we
and
get
monitor.
Budget updates from the state. Is that,
so they do a revision every 6 weeks,
oh.
whenever we do that. But I think there's two things in that. One, in your lever one, you already have a calendar of reporting out. And so I think when we establish the calendar, the board can establish the dates and times for this checkpoint. Does that make sense? So you've already got a lever that's talking about put this calendar of monitoring on that one. I think that the bigger part is as I help you, right, create and manage a financial plan, you guys are going to have to give feedback into that to say, what does this look like? How often does it look? And really, I'm assuming the audit finance committee is going to put together something and bring it back to the board, and then the board will yes and bless it or whatever. And then we'll build that into the calendar of checks and balances as we move from that. So
Here's what my chat GPT said. Implement a structured financial plan with continuous monitoring and forecasting to promote strategic and responsible allocation.
You mean that improve teacher, that improve staff.
think
and
just keep it
student
simple.
successes.
Yeah.
Where aligns resources with instructional priorities and measurable outcomes. Instructional priorities, like instructional priorities. Sounds like corporate jargon.
Yeah, I don't know. I like the simple, but
We want to make
So-
sure it's realistic and doable. Aspirational, but realistic.
We can stop it at allocation of funds.
yeah,
Like. Don't tell me what you want me to do.
change promote to support. And I like the second one. But that's me. I like the structured piece of it, the word structured in there. I think that adds a little bit something extra.
Okay, let's hold there then and let's shift cost. I think our next big focus is on what side operations.
Facilities plans.
Yeah.
But one that's going to be used and implemented and updated and forecasted, not one that's just going to be done once and sit on a shelf.
Let words miss that.
They,
Go ahead.
that number one doesn't have what is the responsible allocation? When you think about like, okay, so we're focused on student outcomes. Whatever the phrasing was, so how do we know whether it's responsibly allocated? What's our?
So the only thing I will say to that is this strategic plan is built underneath that academic one, like within the academic one. So that very first slide, that engaged student experience and those 5 metrics, all of the levers have to be supportive of those metrics. Are you able to flip back to that opening slide, the metric slide? You can probably touch screen, right? No, you can't.
How about the one page?
Yeah, right at the beginning. So the way that it may not be in tonight's drive, but I can make sure that it's in there. So when you look at that, we have the vision, we have the mission, then we have the student experience, then we have the specific outcome goals. So every lever you create at the bottom must be responding to the boxes above it.
All of them or?
Like-
holistically?
Collective.
It folds down collectively. So it's not that every lever is going to respond to every bullet above. It's that no lever should not respond to a bullet above. But at the end of it, student outcome goals, those are your outcome goals. So everything we do underneath that is supposed to be driving those outcome goals. And what we have said is we're going to achieve those outcome goals by the vision, mission, and the student experience. And if we honor the student experience, then we should be able to see those student outcome goals. And these are the areas that we're going to focus on to get us to the student outcome goals. Did that help some? A little bit? So we shouldn't have a lever and we shouldn't have any language in a lever. We shouldn't have any activity in a lever underneath it that doesn't directly tie into the student experience. Because all those student experiences are driving to those student outcome goals.
Was your concern there that we kind of stamp that out of the language of that initiative?
I mean, it just seems vague like the other ones that never got acted. I see something like that going the same way. And in 4 years, the new board's gonna be here like, well, didn't I already do this? And that's like what, it seems corporate-y and doesn't have a lot of like unity.
So
I thought.
after y'all, after we work through these three levers, the planning, performance management, the finance and operations, and the integrated student support system next month, the step that will happen after that, so y'all have talked through and this is what we would like for you to do. Alexis and her team will actually build out like an implementation plan, much like, which I understand what you're saying, but much like, you know, kind of what they had before with here's the different things that are going to be accomplished in this task, and then build out steps to like
Progress monitor, check.
how is that going to be implemented? And then, I mean, y'all built in to your whole thing, how y'all are going to be, like, one of these initiatives is really how y'all are going to hold her accountable with hearing about these things.
From that governance perspective, steering committee is determining what y'all want to be done as far as the initiative, that implementation plan for the level committee build out these
And then that will be brought back to y'all.
for your review and approval.
And it's also to add to that, a lot of times we get reports from Jennifer and Tyler about those tasks, and they come back with how those outcomes look, what their tasks shaped into, how it's working, what didn't work, and they filtered out everything. So I think our task, if you will, is to set the framework,
Absolutely.
trust Alexis to work with her administrative team to carry out those tasks, and they report back to us. Because essentially, it's not up to us to say, well, you need to go do this. It's up to them to divvy that up and iron that framework out.
100%. That's the whole governance block. Kelly said, what, we come back and show the how, and ultimately get board process.
So it may sound vague to us, but they will align out
The actual
the itty bitty.
specificity.
Do you know what I'm trying to
Yeah,
say?
no, 100%. But I think using that facilities plan is a great like point to talk about what it would look like, because what was in the strategic plan, was it developed? Check. Check. Years ago, sat on a shelf, not updated, but check. Like we did it and I checked it off the box, right? But really what we're talking about is when you talk about a facilities maintenance and improvement plan, right? Then what I will, because of the systems we put in place, which is the very first one, right? Planning and performance management. Now I'm going to come to you guys and say annually, when I present to you the budget in February, I am going to present to you proactive budgeting line items for facilities maintenance and improvement because it's part of the plan. So it's different than I have a plan and I'm sitting on the shelf. It's now I've got develop and utilize structured calendar for initiative progress analysis. So when we talk about a facilities maintenance and improvement plan, now I'm going to have a budget item where I'm going to talk to you about the plans we have for next year that is built from that plan.
So I guess my thought is that lever statement and saying that we're gonna do responsible allocation of, whatever it says,
Look at
Yep.
that.
is not giving the high level governance board perspective. It's just saying, go be responsible with the money. And you're like, well, how do I be responsible with the money? What do you guys want? What should I be doing with this? I guess that's my thought. Responsible allocations of funds doesn't give any strategic direction from the board to the administration about what we value or how we want these allocated. And so to say I guess that's my, it doesn't give that high level directive that I think the board should be giving.
So what would it look like to do?
Yeah, I don't understand.
What would that
Okay.
look like
I'm not proposing a solution, I'm just identifying a problem.
Okay, for sake of time,
Yeah.
let's
But we can
keep
just-
going.
It's fine.
All right, so, yeah, so
I'm
let's,
not, I'm just tabling that. Okay.
so let's shift, because I think we're on somewhere between maintenance and site operations, it's kind of where we're picking up the second component for tonight. And we've kind of said that collectively. Well, how do we think we want to word this? Talk about routine planning, we talk about inventorying what we have, replacement, maintenance.
What was it called in the previous?
Create and implement a master maintenance plan.
Would it go beyond just maintenance? Could it go to like facilities and operations?
Facilities, I don't,
Facility,
yeah,
yeah.
I don't know about,
I think you could get too broad.
yeah.
I think if you built that out, but
But there's some kind of projection piece in there, something about the future, anticipating.
Forward looking.
forecasting, like all the things.
Yeah.
But
Yeah. I think
I think a facilities management plan implies both ongoing repairs and preventative maintenance.
Create and implement a master maintenance plan for physical facilities and information technology systems.
Because we talked, there's information technology with a large component of it.
Mhm.
Not just, it's just the infrastructure of both of those places.
Can I say that one more time, a little slow? Or you
I'm just reading from the, create and implement a master maintenance plan for physical facilities and information technology. So all I did was add facilities and IT to the previous action item.
Mhm.
one more time, Ralph.
Like, create and implement a master maintenance plan for physical facilities, for facilities and IT.
I'd say information technology resources, because IT is kind of vague.
Let's take 30 seconds to look over what we got. How
That
it's there.
support a healthy life cycle.
Also have with continuous monitoring on this one. That what we fell short.
Mhm.
Previous one.
Yeah.
And ongoing.
With ongoing or continuous monitoring.
And honestly, life cycle goes with buildings too. So I think it works whether you're talking about facilities, AC units, or technology, or computers, or the Wi-Fi system. So,
Let's. Okay, I'm gonna kind of recap what we got. Let's kind of see where we are at the steering committee as a whole. Because we've had some great conversations now. It was pretty evident once we kind of heat map where our focus was, what the conversation would ultimately end on. We had moving forward, the lever of finance and operation, or the initiatives that we want to focus on over the next several years. We implement a structured financial plan with continuous monitoring and forecasting for strategic, responsible allocation of funds. And the creation and implementation of a master maintenance plan for facilities, information technology resources for a healthy life cycle, ongoing continuous monitoring. Any further discussion, so to speak? We think that gets us moving in the direction that we want to from the evidence that we've heard tonight.
Dr. Newman, do you want on bullet number 2 to add in support a healthy life cycle with ongoing continuous preventative maintenance, replacements and monitoring? That way it's specific, because you can have a healthy life cycle. What does that life cycle look like if there's no specifics to it?
yeah, I think you could. I think it's wordy a little bit already. I think
Just leave it,
if you're really honestly talking about a healthy life cycle,
you're taking action.
it implies like things are going to die and I'm going to replace, right? Like that we have to be able to move through those. And I think, again, whether you're talking about facilities or anything else. So I'm okay with it the way it is.
Or the first one?
Now that y'all have had time to think about the first one, we moved on.
The
So
last,
do we need to do edits?
instead of supporting strategic and responsible allocation of funds.
Oh, I think we should. I just think it would give the administration any on what's strategic.
Well,
A structure financial.
I don't mind it. I mean, we'll just.
But why do, I'm not challenging, I'm like, help me learn. The pieces above it in that base, isn't that what?
I may have an aha, maybe, tell me if I'm right or not, but it's, the issue is who's going to decide whether it's strategic or responsible?
Yeah.
Like, so with board directed or with goal oriented or like whatever, like qualifier.
And I guess it seems like we're making a plan to make a plan, right? We'll decide these goals later. We'll decide these values later.
I thought they're in
That's
there
what
written.
we come back with the tasks that determine and show the support of, they responsibly allocated those funds based on what the leaders of each campus tells Dr. Newman, this is what we need to do this, to support those student initiatives on that first slide.
Is it that strategic, it's not functional, but like, are you talking about strategic being a capital S as in the things that are on page 1?
So we have been struggling, just an example, financially with some of the stuff at the bank, with not having a CFO. We have
The last few months. Yep.
Right.
Yep.
We also employ someone at an administrative executive level who does social media.
Mhm.
So when we think about strategy and our goals, we have problems over here and maybe there's funds over here that aren't being strategically optimized to meet some of these goals. And so when I look at the administrator, well, our social media is doing awesome. Like, why would we want to change that? Because when we have this limited bucket of money, does the way it's currently allocated meet the goals of student success? And there's probably dozens of examples that the administration is like, yeah, this is how we wanted to do it, and this was that's my
But is it?
this isn't giving high level directive to the administration. This just is saying, go and do. Yeah.
Which-
Cause like, I'm wondering that too, like in terms of how is that tying back into our core values?
How is which one? That?
Yes. You know, that's where I'm like, okay, I would like for it to somehow tie into something. With, instead of just saying implement, or number 2, create kinds of things, but how does that tie in with our overall strategic?
And still their creativity and responsibility, because I think, just from my perspective, I'm not arguing, but just so we can get to a solution on this.
Yeah.
There is a line, we are the board of directors, but we entrust the administrators of these campuses to carry out the tasks that support what we put together for this plan. It may sound like a plan to us, but we don't do the daily grind that these highly educated and skilled staff members do. It is their responsibility to report back their findings on how they're going to carry this out. And they tell us, this is what we need. This is where we approve funding and where it needs to go to give them what they need. We can get as specific as possible, but our specifics won't line up to the specifics that Tyler and Jennifer have for their campuses.
Well, and I think to go back, I think Mark mentioned it earlier, right? Like there's the board governance lane, which is your job is to employ me and my job is to make things happen. And so I think I want to go back to your example because I think it's a really important example. And so the reason we have the position was because we had enrollment dips. We had a very small waiting list. We had people saying that they didn't get communication, right, from the campuses or from the activities and they didn't know what was going on. So we revamped and grew that position. Now we've got all of those metrics that we're seeing really positive movement from. It doesn't mean that that's once you have a strategic initiative, that's the initiative for the rest of the life of the school, right? It may mean that that's what that purpose is right there. Honestly, had we not had a transition in staff members, a lot of the conversations we've had tonight, we wouldn't be having, right? But transition helped us see a thing that was like, oh my goodness, this was a gap. I had talked about some of the expenditures before, like you guys get the board reports and all of that. But now what we're seeing is because of struggles in like staffing and rollover and because, yay, we've gotten there. Now we have to shift our mindset. Now the board is going to need to take a different approach, a level of strategic thinking about funding and budgets, right? The board is going to need to be able to say, hey, I know you guys want a 4% raise, and I know it looks like we have the money for that, but we actually don't, because we've got the commercial grade system on Quinn that's going out probably in 2 years, and that's going to cost us $130,000. So that's a different mindset than we've ever had since the founding of the school, ever. And so I think I understand where you're coming from. I also am okay with creating it, bringing it to the board, and the board saying yay or nay until we craft it right. I think the bigger thing that I like, and I don't know that it's 100% echoed in that statement, but I think the bigger thing that I like is the possibility of having open, honest conversations about the strategic initiatives each year. Like as we're walking forward, like I'm going to bring a board and the board is going to say, hey, so we know that our math scores are struggling at this campus, Newman. How are you meeting that need? Like we did the reports from the campuses, right? Like that came directly from you guys taking real ownership and saying, hey, would you come back to us and tell us exactly what you're doing? You're not telling me what to do. You're saying, come tell me, and I'll press in and ask that, but like walk me through and tell me exactly what you're doing to meet this need. And so I think if there was, I don't know if there's better wording to do it or whatever else, but for me, it is the board should be making sure that my tasks align with your initiative, like your drive. I should be meeting your drive. And so if that means I need to cut positions, if that means I need to shift and move, if that means I need to change structures in order to meet what the board wants to see happen, that's what number 1 is about, right? If I need to have preventative maintenance and I've got AC units that are going out, or I've got fencing that needs to be replaced, or a parking lot that needs to be resurfaced, that's a great example, right? A whole parking lot needs to be resurfaced. It's $80,000. So if I know that that's something that I'm going to need in 3 years, I need to be planning for it now and telling you guys now so that you can say, yes, that's absolutely something we want to do, or let's push that off 2 more years, right? So
To me, that's supporting decision-making more than it is something that's a little bit, like, those are concrete decisions that we have to make.
Yeah.
And so that's what would be most useful for that financial plan. I mean, yes, that does support strategic and responsible allocation plan, but really it supports our decision-making in order to enhance student outcomes.
Our decision-making is based on strategic
Right.
allocation. I mean, we're kind of
because
talking in
that's what
circles. Okay. Do you have alternative language that you're thinking of? Because that would
Like,
be,
I think with the idea that the strategic and responsible allocation of funds be higher level than it. What are our values? What are our goals? And I guess it's just whether I don't see it reflected here.
in that
But
statement,
maybe it is, but if you're like, I'm gonna do
But
what the front page says.
As like a lever, what we really need is to just get the plan so that we can apply those, right?
Yeah.
it's the action step.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah, and I think that's missing from prior years. Just a little active.
and there's turnover.
Yeah.
Are we good? Are we at consensus?
I,
I love it.
I heard an aye.
Aye.
Okay. Again, nothing's 100% done. It's about 99, because at the end, it'll still be brought to you.
Yeah, it's not printed yet, so you guys can ruminate on it.
Yes, this is in pencil, not in. All right, so just to wrap it up for tonight, here's what we did. We went through lever 6. Next month in November, we'll be looking at lever 3, integrated student support, which talks about culture, behavior, and safety aspects of the environment within the district. And we're moving on to get through the rest of the semester to hopefully by December, we have a final draft of the long-range plan to bring to you. January, like Allison talked about, we'll have that implementation plan, working with district staff on that for final long-range plan reveal coming back after break in February. So as always, we appreciate your conversation and your commitment, building out the plan for Rapoport over the next several years. It is not easy work. It is hard work. A lot of conversations and a lot of thought process go into this, we sure do. So with that, what time is it? 8 o'clock, 7:57.
But we're not officially adjourned.
I need a motion.
Neil, second.
Seconded.
All those in favor? Aye.
Thank you, guys. Good to see
Good
you.
work.
Sorry, I felt like. The government had to be.
You don't have to make that point. It's okay.